In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live on a Monday night, and I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and tonight is Bible study night. We're in the great book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 22. That's where we left off last night. That's where we're going to pick up tonight. How you doing? How's your Monday going so far? Are you having a good day? Are you having a bad day? Are you hoarse and it's rainy outside? Other than that, how are you? What's going on? Bill Bennett's first in chat. He gets the gold star tonight. What's up, Bill? Nice to see you. He said, Bible study. Hello, Untethered Live family. Hey, Bill. I apologize for my voice. I'm on the verge of losing it. I have done 6 shows this week, so, tired. But voice is barely hanging on. But it's there, and we're going to get something done one way or the other. Amanda says, hi, Bill. Here's your gold star. And hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a good day. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? I'm fine. I'm fine. I learned that from Bill Clinton. You emphasize with your thumb. Everything is fine. Makes you want to vote for me, doesn't it? Anyway. Amanda says it's rainy here in North Carolina. Yeah, we had a big storm, 80-mile-an-hour winds for like 15 minutes. It's kind of crazy. Dropped a lot of rain in 15 minutes, though. Linda Davis is here. She says, hey, good evening, all in chat. Heart. Hey, Linda, how are you, sweetie? Nice to see you. Amanda says, hey, Linda, hon. Kendra Woods here. Hi, Kendra. Long time no see. She says, hey, y'all. Hey, Kendra, how are you? How are things? What's going on in your world? How are things in your neck of the woods? Where's my Ninja Rider at? I hadn't seen him in a couple of days. Amanda says, hi, Kendra. And Walter Davis is here. He says, good evening, all. Hey, Walter. How are you, sir? Nice to see you. Amanda says, hi, Walter. And Linda says, hi, Jake, Amanda, Bill, and Kendra, and, of course, Walter. Oh. Walter says, hey, Jake, Amanda, Kendra, Linda, Bill. You guys are awesome. Kendra says, hey, Amanda, I'm holding my own right now. Doing better than I was. That's excellent news. That's great to hear. I'm glad you're doing okay. Kendra says, hey, Linda. And Amanda says, that's good, Kendra. Amen. Kendra says, I was able to walk outside and back without losing my breath. I have not been able to do that, and it has absolutely sucked. Well, I'm glad you got outside for a minute. I hope it was good, beautiful weather, and I hope that you enjoyed the visit out, and I hope that you can get more of that going soon. Bill says, you got my vote, Jake. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. If I ever run for president, I'll call you up. Who's hitting me up here? My sister texting me for something. I'll have to look at it later, honey. Fab Daddy, what's up, buddy? He says, please don't read this, Jake. Save your voice. I just wanted to chat to know I love them. Aw, thank you, buddy, but I'll read it. I'm going to read them all if I can. How you doing? We love you too, by the way. Bill Bennett says, I hope Ninja wears a helmet. I can't remember what the helmet law is in Georgia. I can't remember if they got a helmet law or not. I would wear a helmet even if they didn't, because I think it's silly to ride a motorcycle with no helmet, but that's just me. I know in Florida you can ride with no helmet. I'm not sure about Georgia, though. And Kendra says, hey, Walter, Linda says, Walter has been working on my truck all day in the cold. You go, man. I hope you can get it fixed. I hope that starter ain't too much trouble. Or whatever it is. I think you said it was a starter. I can't remember. Amanda says, hey, Fab. Oh, we love you too, Fab. And he's totally going to read it. Right? LOL. Amanda says, I can't believe it's still cold up there, Linda. We have the AC on. It was 78 degrees here today. It's been cool at night, but not cold. We haven't had cold in like 3 weeks. So it's officially summertime. Amanda says, Florida is a no helmet if you have insurance. Right on. And Kendra says, you have a helmet law in Georgia and they do enforce it. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't remember if they had one or not. I know South Carolina don't have a helmet law because a lot of guys, when they enter into South Carolina, they take their helmets off. I'm not doing it. Y'all can look cool. I'm going to hit the pavement and bounce. Bill Bennett says, it doesn't matter the law. People driving cars do not look for bikers, and they are big blind spots. This is true. Most people ignore motorcyclists, which is why you have to be ever vigilant and pay attention and stay out of everybody's way. I drive my motorcycle like it's a radioactive bullet. That's how I look at it. I try to bounce off of everything and get out of the way. And Kendra says, I've had to run AC. It's been hot. Oh, yeah, Georgia's always hot. It's hot in the wintertime in Georgia. I remember those Georgia nights, though, with the box fan in the window and sweat pouring off of you, and you macrame to the mattress, and you're just laying there going... I remember those nights. There's something oddly comforting about a hot Georgia night, though. It's the best sleep you'll ever get. You wake up every now and then and wipe sweat out of your eyes, but it's good sleep. And Linda says, he says, I am never allowed to buy another Toyota. It has been that much of a bitch to work on. Toyotas are kind of hard to work on, but they're usually pretty solid. They usually don't break down. I don't know what year it is, though, so I guess it depends on what year model it is. I know my favorite car is a Datsun. I believe in Datsuns, man. I had a few of them when I was younger, and you can't kill the things. I've tried. As long as you keep oil in it and gas, it'll run forever. That's probably why you can't find one now, because they all still run. People that have them, keep them. April Rain, she says, hi, Amanda, Jake, Linda, Walter, and Bill. Good to see you. And Kendra. Love and hugs. Hey, April, how you doing, sweetheart? She says, just hit that like button. That's right. 8 people in chat, only 6 likes. That means 2 of you don't think I'm worthy of that much effort. Come on now. Amanda says, LOL, Linda, and hi, April. And April says, just hit that like button. Hit it like you mean it. Kendra says, you sleep, but it's hard sleep. Yeah, you sleep hard in Georgia, yeah. That hot Georgia atmosphere. I don't know what it is. It's something different. Everywhere else I've lived in Florida all the way up to North Carolina, out to Tennessee. I've lived in Arkansas, you know. I've been to Minot, North Dakota. So I've been through the gambit of climates. And for some reason, that Georgia atmosphere in a dead summer is unlike anything else anywhere else. I've never been to Arizona, but I imagine it's pretty close. Dry, hot, but comfortable. You get used to it pretty quick if you live there. April says, Fab Daddy, good to see you, love. Linda Davis says, it's a 2008 Toyota Tundra with 300,000 miles on it. First breakdown. I'd say it's time then. 300,000 miles is good. Most cars don't last 100,000. Bill Bennett says, the Datsun B200Z hatchback. They are all rusted away. I don't know about the B200, but the B210 is the bee's knees in my mind. I love the B210. And I didn't say anything about their bodies. I just said they were still running. It may be rusted away, but I bet you can crank it up. Amanda says, April, I found a Hard Rock Casino game for the phone. You can link it to your Hard Rock account from the casino, and you should check it out. Ooh, gambling. I need to take up gambling. I don't do drugs. I got to do something. Walter Davis says, I work on heavy equipment, industrial machines, big trucks. Back in the day, old muscle cars with big blocks. Linda's truck is the worst, right? That's because it's so tiny and made in China or Japan, wherever it is. I think it's Japan. Anyway, they did not design those cars to be comfortable to work on. As far as the Datsun or the Honda is concerned, I think they designed them to just never break, so you don't have to worry about working on it. But I haven't owned a Toyota before. I've owned maybe one in my life. I think I might have owned a Toyota. But most of the time, I've had Datsuns and Hondas and Nissans, things like that. It's basically the same vehicle, but different company. Kendra says, we had to put one of our dogs down. I didn't want to. I'm sorry. I'm glad that you were there to get it done, though. I don't like letting them suffer, but I understand your pain. I've had to do that a few times in my life, and it ain't fun. Walter Davis says, hi, April. And Amanda says, I've done some unmentionables in a white Datsun B210. LOL. Me too. I was there. I saw it. April says, nice. I think I have it. Think I have it? Nice. Thumbs up. Think I have it. What do you have? Herpes? The game? Oh, the game. Got it. Walter says, I love Datsuns. Me too. They're great cars. They're ugly. Don't get me wrong. It's not a pretty car. It's just dependable. It's a thing you never have to think about. If you own a Datsun, you know you can go outside and go somewhere. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it. It's not going to break down. It's never a question. In my experience. Anyway. April says, I'm sorry, Kendra. That's sad. I know how it feels to lose a buddy. Right on. And Walter says, it's a Tundra. It's American made, but it was designed by satanic gimps. Right? I didn't know Toyotas were American made. That's a new one to me. Mr. P, what's up, buddy? He says, hello, all listening in. God bless. How you doing, Mr. P? Well, I hope. Good to see you. Walter Davis says, hi, Mr. P. And Linda says, hey, Mr. P, good to see you, heart. Amanda says, hey, Mr. P. And April says, John, good to see you. God bless. God bless you, too. Hearts and prayers. More hearts. And LOL, Walter. I had a pretty good day today. Went to work. Everything went swimmingly. Just steady work all day. Nothing major, nothing big, nothing exciting. Just a good, smooth Monday. I like it when that happens. Monday is usually the worst. You usually don't feel like being there. You're still hungover from the weekend. Things are all piling up. It's always a bad day on Monday, but today was pretty good. Can't complain. And Amanda says, yeah, Toyota is made by Chevy or assembled anyway. I did not know that. I thought Toyota was its own company. That must have been bought and I didn't hear about it. And Walter says, the Fair Lady, Z-Cars, pickups, B-Series, all good. Yep. I don't know what the Fair Lady is, but I know what a B210 is, and I love them. I've had one maybe 3 times in my life. I had the hatchback and the trunk, so I've had them both. They're both great cars. And I also had a, what was that car? The blue car with the hatchback. Looks like a 280ZX, but it wasn't. I think that was a Toyota. I'm not sure. I think it was a Celica. That's right. Celica GT. That's what I had. It had louvers in the back and it had pinstripes on it. It was one of the first cars that had graphics on it. I love that car, boy. It's mint condition. Everything on it. Leather interior. Great car. I paid it off. It took me 2 years to pay it off. The day I paid it off, I walked in and handed them my final payment, and they told me that the car was stolen. I bought it from a junkyard, and that they couldn't produce a title for it. So I took my payment back, and I went across the street And I told the car lot across the street the story of what just happened. And they had a Chrysler LeBaron, the big one, not the little one, the big one that looks like a Mexican mobile. You know what I'm talking about? It's akin to a Barracuda. Kind of had that look to it. Big Chrysler LeBaron. Anyway, I bought it for $50. I put $50 on it. He let me drive it off the lot. I never made another payment. I drove that car for 3 years. I missed that car. It was brown with beige leather interior, and it was low to the ground, and it was a big car, and it had the curves like a Barracuda has, but it was a Chrysler LeBaron, and it sounded great. It rumbled, and I wish if I could get a car that I had in the past, that one or my Chrysler Newport. Oddly enough, Chrysler has been the best car I've ever owned, or the one I liked the most. Man, I'm not particularly fond of Chryslers, but the ones that I've had have been pretty awesome. Chrysler Newport was big enough you could put a whole patio set on the hood, and you could sleep 4 in the back seat. And power steering, all the power you could put into it. You couldn't turn it sitting still. You couldn't turn the wheels. You'd have to make it move to turn. April says, yeah, Monday. Blues, yeah. Right on. Blue is a Monday color for sure. Monday is a blue color for sure. Monday blue. I don't know why we don't have that. Walter Davis says, no, Toyota set up a factory for American market vehicles in South Carolina. Okay, I didn't know. Amanda says, I have a Geo Prism, or I had a Geo Prism, and it also had a Toyota and Chevy parts. Isn't that 3-cylinder car? Sounds like a moped. I think I've seen those before. Prism. That might be the Geo Metro that I'm thinking about, but one of them has 3 cylinders. Walter Davis says Honda did too. I didn't know that either. April says OMG. And Amanda says, I thought it was a New Yorker. No, it's a Chrysler LeBaron. Big brown car. I ran a lawn business out of the trunk of it. I had 2 push mowers in the trunk of that car. We went all over the place mowing grass. You can tell what I did for a living. April says, OMG. Oh, I read that one. Love big cars made of iron. Yeah. They don't make them like that anymore. It was steel, but whatever. It felt like it was made of iron. Walter Davis says Chrysler was good. Yeah, the older ones were great. Plymouth was great. That was the best version of Chrysler, in my opinion. Back when it was just Plymouth, when it didn't have another name attached to the word Plymouth. Yeah, I love old cars. I love old everything. They just made things better in the old days. They just did. Amanda says, nope, it was a Toyota 4-cylinder. What was? Your Geo Prism? Now you're thinking about the Metro. Yep, that's what I thought. And April says steel, iron, better than aluminum. Yes, better than aluminum for sure. I'd love to see a car made out of iron, but it probably wouldn't go very fast. Amanda says, April, Tribble got a new purple collar with a pink and purple bow and a little bell, LOL. April says, fact about the cars being better in the old days. Yeah. Walter says, my first car was a big block Plymouth. I think the first car that I can remember that my mother had was one of those big old white Plymouths, 4-door Plymouths. She had a Volkswagen before that, but I don't remember it. But I've been told about it. I was 6 months old at the time, so I wouldn't have remembered it, I wouldn't imagine. Though I do remember some things from that period. April says, aw, little purple bow. All right, fellas. You guys want to have a cup of coffee and talk about the world? I got me a nice hot cup of coffee. Thank you to the people that provide the coffee for the show. This here is a regular cup of Joe. That's the way I like it, regular and Joey. Don't you want to have a cup? Go to the kitchen, pour yourself a nice hot cup of coffee, and let's get to talking about the Bible. If you don't have a cup, You can get one in the description below. I recommend the first one. It does have my face on it. It is fantastic. But there are a lot of new options there. Check it out, including stainless steel tumblers with locking lids and a great Untethered Live Bible study print on the front. It is a fantastic looking cup. It holds your coffee hot for hours. It'll scoop up liberal tears. It looks good on a coffee table, and if you chuck it at somebody, it'll leave a big old round mark. Get one while supplies last. Also, like, subscribe, share, support, join, and please super chat box, or hit that Cash App $JakeJohnsonband. I do appreciate that. It is getting kind of lonely. If you want to throw a little love my way, if you want to put a little clang-a-lang in my pocket, if you want to, you can do that right there. Also, one last thing. If you would like to have a place to get to know everybody and hang out with one another and share videos, pictures, texts, and chats outside of YouTube and its oppressive censorship model, and outside of me reading every little thing you write down, you can do that over at facebook.com/UntetheredLiveFamily. It's a great place. It looks good. It's where you can keep up with all things Untethered Live Universe and each other at the same time. The link is in the chat. Go check it out, and I appreciate you. Now, back to the show. We got a great read tonight. We are in the book of Luke, the masterfully written book of Luke. Very exciting, very on the edge of his seat writer. And I can't wait to see what happens next. So come with me, won't you, as we go through it. Amanda says, I remember the Impala or Capri. It was an Impala. I had a Chevy Impala. Yes. And I did like it. I like those square cars, but my favorite car of all time, and I would have one now if I could find one, is an Oldsmobile It was a blue car with a bushy covering on the top from the back window back, and it had plushy interior like velvet or something. It was a great car. It was comfortable. It looked good. It kind of looked like a Monte Carlo, except the grill was different, but it had that shape. It was a great car. Oldsmobile Brome. I miss those cars. If I ever find another one, I'm going to get it. You can do everything in that car. You can lay down, take a nap. You can set up shop. You can do whatever you want to do in that car. Go on a long journey. It's very comfortable. Good on gas. Runs good. And did I mention it was Bromey? I do miss those cars. Then they had to screw it up and be copied by a Chevrolet. And out came the Impala and the Capri, which the only difference is the back window. And I think maybe the grill's different. Walter says, Amanda, both were great cars. Yes, they were. Amanda says, yep, I'm a Chevy girl, so I like almost all Chevys. My favorites are Nova and Chevelle and a Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. Well, Pontiac's not a Chevy, but it is a GM. Linda says, I had one of them, Jake, one of the Oldsmobile Brome. Isn't it a great car? Don't you miss it? I miss mine. I love that car. It's just, it suits my personality, you know. I've always liked bigger cars anyway. I don't like them little tiny cars. I don't even like SUVs. I'd rather have a van. But you do what you got to do. Walter says, 8 had a 62 Impala SS. Never got it on the road. Ooh. Mr. P says, my first car was a 1994 Corsica. I rebuilt and never had a payment for 4 years. Second car was a 1983 S10. I think I've had both of those. What? I don't know if it was a Corsica. You remember that car that came out in the 80s that looked like a Star Trek car? It was real bubbly looking. It was a Chevy. I think it was a Corsica or something that started with a C. I had one of those anyway. It's a very futuristic looking car for its time. Very bubbly. I think it was a Corsica. But I had a Chevy S10 with the turbo engine in it. You know, the filtration system on the top. It was a good little truck. Born on the same day as my 1982 billet grill, color range paint, and a V8 350 with roller rockers. I think that's what that said. Roller Rocky, something like that. Roller rockers. That is what that said. All right, I got it. April says, that's one of my favorite Oldsmobiles. Yeah, I love Oldsmobiles. Why did they get rid of Oldsmobiles? They were great cars. They just stopped making them. I think they might have come back out with a new one, but it's short-lived, and it ain't like the old Oldsmobiles. I just don't understand why they would get rid of the best car manufacturer there was, and I stand firm on that. Oldsmobile was a great car and affordable. I guess that's probably why they want to sell a lot of them. And Walter says, maybe a 64 first year of SS. Maybe. I don't know a lot about cars, so. April says, and Mustangs. There's only 2 Mustangs that I like, and one of them I wouldn't drive because it's girly. So that's the 64 and a half, but I do like it. But my favorite is the fastback, like a 69 or 70 fastback, something like that. The one with the louvers, Mach 1. Yeah. That car is awesome. The one that was in Bullet, the movie Bullet. There you go. That's a great car. Here's a little trivia question answer for you. A little trivia. Remember the show Dukes of Hazzard? Remember how the General Lee sounded? You were listening to the car from the movie Bullet. It was a Ford Mustang. And the way you know that is because a Charger is not a stick shift. But if you listen to that, it's always changing gears. So they just took the sound of the car from the movie Bullet and attached it to the car on the Dukes of Hazzard. Wonder why they did that. Probably because a Dodge Charger was a grocery go-getter and it sounded like that. And April says, Ford is better, LOL. Old Fords, yes. New Fords, no. Ford is not better. Anything post-85, I'm not for it. I don't like Ford is not a good company. They started out as a good company. They used to make great vehicles. Not anymore. Mr. P says, I had a custom drive shaft and a Ford 9-inch posi rear end. I hear you. Be getting it. Be pulling all kind of things. Walter says, I had a 68 Mustang, April. Ooh. I had an opportunity to buy a 64 and a half and a 70 fastback in mint condition for the price of the metal. However much the weight of the metal would bring in at the junkyard, that's what he wanted me to pay him for it. And I didn't do it because I didn't have any money at the time. But man, I would have loved to. He's dead now, so I can't go done him. But I would have loved to have got my hands. They were both in a barn in mint condition. Now, they were rusty, but it was surface rust. It looked like they'd been sitting since they were bought. But they both had 4 tires. They both had all original parts. I believe that the 64 and a half was a convertible. I can't remember for sure, but I think it was. But I wanted it for the fastback. I would have sold the 64 and a half and paid for the refurbishing of the fastback if I could have got that deal. But I missed out on it. I drug my feet and I lost that opportunity. But man, I don't know what the price of metal was, but I'm pretty sure I could have got both of those cars for under $2,000. That was a good deal. I wish I'd have had the money at the time to buy it. Amanda says, Fords are junk, LOL, most of them. Older the better, though, in a Ford. Yes, the older ones are absolutely not junk. Anything before 85, great vehicles. Cars and trucks. Oh. April says, nice. I had 2 Mustangs and they're gone now. Got to be careful with them things. Amanda says, Oldsmobile makes vans and I think SUVs now. Really? I'd like to see an Oldsmobile van. I've never seen one of those. I'd buy one, though. April says, yes, I agree. Linda says, I had a few different Oldsmobile Cutlasses. Yeah, the Cutlass and the Brougham are basically the same, except for the interior and the little, whatever you call that, on the back of the roof that goes down on the back window and across the roof. An attachment. I don't know what it is. It's just for looks. It doesn't do anything. It's just like a dressing. But that was on the Brougham. I don't know if it was on the Cutlass. But they were basically the same car, except for the interior. And maybe the Cutlass might have been a little sportier. And the Oldsmobile Brougham was more of a family car. Walter says Oldsmobile is gone because GMC has been losing money for decades. Same with Geo and Saturn and Buick. Yeah, Buick was a good car. I like the old Buicks, like old Buick Skylark. It's a great car. And April says, I love that style. Me too. Yes. All right. Mr. P says Oldsmobile higher-ups mismanaged the company, I believe. Kept selling off shares of the company to a French manufacturer, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I don't know. All I know is they vanished. And I thought they were great cars. I hate that they disappeared. Amanda says, I like to have an 85 Buick Regal. I've had one of those before. I don't know if it was an 85, but I've had a Buick Regal. They're good cars. Buicks are good too, says April. Yes, they are. April says, yep, I used to. And Mr. P says, one of the manufacturers had that crazy story. Oof. 727 torque flight trans and the General Lee could be shifted or just left in drive. I hear you. Bill Bennett says, I'm a Chevy guy, but the new 5.0 Mustangs sound amazing. Also, the Mopar Hellcats are sweet also. Pipe dreams. Yes, both of those cars are nice, but don't they have those modified sounds that are made with a computer that are like piped into the car? I'm not sure about that, but I think Mustang was one of the companies that did that. It was an artificial sound. You know what I mean? Like a recording. One of those companies did that. I think it might have been the Mustang. April says, nice, Walter. I love that year Mustang. Yes. Hang on, my chat jumped again. Mr. P says those were cool as all heck, Walter. Yes, they were. Amanda says, I can get behind a new Charger or Challenger. Bill, them Hellcats are so sweet. Yeah, I like the Hellcat and I like the Challenger. I do not like the new Charger. They are not a Charger. I don't know what they were thinking. They basically took the greatest car that was ever made and turned it into a grocery go-getter. Weird. I do like the Challenger, though. It's pretty. You can look at it and see that it came from the Charger. The other one, it looks just like every other car. There's a big old grill on it, and I don't like it. I don't know what Dodge was thinking, but it ain't pretty, Dodge. And what happened to that concept car y'all made for like 2 years? The Spider or whatever it was? You know, the one that looked like a coupe? Or a roadster? I think it looked like a roadster. Was it a Spider? Prowler. That's it. Prowler. Whatever happened to that? That was looking good. Then you had to come out with that PT Cruiser. Somebody's smoking the bad herb back there in the design department is what I think. April says, I agree. Walter says, Linda and I got a 65 Mustang in the backyard. It was a good car before the kids took it apart to restore it and lost interest. Oh, that happens. Yes, it does. EA, what's up? He says, Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. How are you? Welcome to the show, EA. Walter says, hi. EA says, free Palestine. Well, you have to have a Palestine before you can free it there, EA. Palestine is an idea. It's not a real place. The new city never was built. Sorry. I hate to tell you that. Amanda says, it's an Oldsmobile Silhouette. What is? Amanda says, hi, EA. And April says, OMG. Whoa, really, Walter? That's the style I love. Yes, those are great cars. April says, hi, EA. Good to see you. Walter says, it's a 65 coupe. 289 4-speed. Right on. EA says, Jews, ? quote Zionists are doing the same as usual. Yeah, that's usually what people do, what they usually do. Why are you talking about politics in a Bible study, EA? It's Bible study. We're talking about cars. And don't care what's happening in the Middle East. That doesn't concern us at all. Not even a little bit. Don't care. You dig? April says, I have a GMC Terrain now, and it's nice, 2024. Show off. I got a 99 Eddie Bauer Ford. Built Ford stupid, or whatever they say. April says, Nissan Rogue, and Kevin has the Jeep Gladiator. Nice. Y'all are doing pretty good. I'm proud for you guys. And Linda says, my son has a new Mustang. Cool. April says, hey, y'all, Amanda knows her cars. She knows how to fix them, too. She does. She does. She's a mechanic lady that don't like grease. Walter says, MH new truck, or my new truck, is a 82 F-150. Nice. It's easy to work on, and I'm not going to get anything newer than a 98. I don't disagree with you there, Walter. Older is better, especially if you got to work on it. And Amanda says, what about the Chevy SSR truck convertible? I don't know much about those. Those little ones. Bill Bennett says the minivan silhouette or shallot. The minivan shallot. Is that an Oldsmobile? Is that what you're talking about? I've never seen one. Or I don't think I have anyway. Silhouette. Walter says, Amanda, the truck body on a Corvette drivetrain. Yeah, they are cool. Right on. April says, LOL, Jake. Those are great, Jake. Yes, they are. Amanda says, yes, Walter. And they haul butt, too. Bill says, I have 4 cars. The newest is a 01 Honda SRV. LOL. Ain't nothing wrong with a Honda, Bill. Nothing at all. All right, let's get after it, shall we? We've wasted enough time, and people are going to be here, so let's get to it. Let me find where I left off in the chat, and we'll get moving. Somehow I ended up going backwards. Here we go. All right. Let me mark this down. Amanda says, I love grease. I just don't like breaking my nails. Right on. I hate grease. I'm the kind of mechanic that the moment my hands touch a wrench, I immediately turn into an asshole and start cussing. I don't know why. It's in my DNA. I'm that mechanic. I'm the guy you want to leave alone while he's out there busting his knuckles and sweating all over the place. I don't have good bedside manner when it's a mechanic job that needs to be done. Just in my DNA is all I can figure. I don't do it on purpose. It's just the way it is. All right. If you got your Bibles handy, crack them open to the great book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 22. And it reads, Now it came to pass on a certain day that he went into a ship with his disciples, and he said unto them, Let us go over unto the other side of the lake. And they launched forth. But as they sailed, he fell asleep, being Jesus. And there came down a storm of wind on the lake, and they were filled with water and were in jeopardy. Jesus over there sawing logs. He hadn't moved at all. They're freaking out because the storm is getting meaner and meaner, and the boat's filling up with water, and it's probably tattered the sail and everything. They're not having a good day, and Jesus is over there taking a nap. It hadn't fazed him at all. And they came to him and woke him up, saying, Master, Master, we perish. And then he arose in what I can only assume was sarcasm. He rebuked the wind and the raging water, and they ceased, and they were calm. Now, I can picture this in my mind. He's over there sawing logs. He's been walking all day. He's been teaching and healing. He's exhausted. He's trying to get a nap while they drive over to the next town. And they are freaking out, and he's over there trying to ignore them. He's probably got pillows over his head and everything. And they finally go and wake him up. Master, there's a storm outside. It's raining. Can you help us? And he's like, I swear to me, do you not know who is on this boat? Have you been paying attention, guys? Who is with you? Do you think the storm is going to sink the boat? It's not. Look, go away. And it goes away. And they're like, now leave me alone. I got to get some sleep. That's how I picture it happening anyway. You tell me if you think I'm wrong. And then he said unto them, where is your faith? And they, being afraid, wondered, saying one to another, what manner of man is this? For he commandeth even the winds and the water, and they obey him. Well, he is the Son of God, and he has purview over such things, and you should know this by now. You're following the guy. You gave up everything you have to follow the guy. Don't you know who you're following? This is a good question for you as well. You're a Christian. Don't you know why you're a Christian? Are you because your mommy told you to? Or because that's how you grew up? Or because that's the culture you live in? Or because you found a book one day and decided to read it? Why are you a Christian? What is it about God that leads you to believe in him? You should probably know the answer to that. You should probably understand who it is you're worshiping, because it's a big deal. And if you don't, you are in the right place, because we're going to describe it in detail as we go through these books. What manner of man is this that even the winds and rain obey him? And they arrived at the country of the Gadarenes. Gadarenes. I'm going with Gadarenes, which is over against Galilee. It's Galilee light. And when he went forth to land, there met him out of the city a certain man which had devils a long time. He wore no clothes, neither abode in any house, but in the tombs. He lived in the catacombs there at the edge of town where they bury the dead, because that's where you can be possessed and not be bothered by anybody, I guess. Who knows? But when Jesus saw him, he cried out and fell down before him with a loud voice, said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not. Well, that was unexpected. So there's demons in this guy. And they see Jesus walking up on shore and recognize him. They know who he is. Not only do they know who he is, they think he's here to get them and put them back where they came from. See what he says? I beg you, I beseech thee, don't torment me. Don't put me back in the pit. That's what he's asking Jesus. For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man, for oftentimes it had caught him. These spirits, in another book, it identifies this group of spirits as legion. There's many, many devils in this one guy, and they would cut him and rip his skin and toss him into the fire and things like that, make him fall down on the rocks and stuff. They were really hurting this guy, as demons tend to do. For oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept bound with chains and in fetters. Fetters is the wooden thing they put your head and your hands in the old days, you know. That's what fetters are, or handcuffs. And he brake the bands and was driven of the devils into the wilderness. That's where he lives, in the edge of town, out in the desert, in the catacombs. And Jesus asked him, saying, what is thy name? And he said, Legion, because many devils were entered into him. Legion means a lot. I think it's 1,000, but it's a lot. And they besought him that he would not command them to go out into the deep. What does that mean? That's a weird thing to say there. Translation, this word deep is the same word pit, the bottomless pit, or the infinite pit, the dark, the deep, the abyss, the abuso. Abuso is the word. What is he saying to him? Don't put us back in prison. Because when these angels, these are part of the 200 that came down at Mount Hermon. There's at least some of them are. They escaped their habitat. They came to earth and left where they were put. And because of that, they were punished by God. If you read Psalm 88 and a couple of other places where it talks about the divine council, you'll know that they are already judged. They're the only things on earth that have already been judged by God. And they were sentenced to be imprisoned in certain places. Some of them are under the Euphrates River. Some of them are in the pit. That's where Satan is supposed to be at when he comes back to earth. Right now, he's in heaven currently, in chains behind the throne, according to the Bible. But when he is loosed onto this earth, he will be from the pit, or in the pit. These devils don't want to go back to the pit. They're having a blast out here in the real world, inhabiting flesh bodies. Now, as you know, your spirit was created to inhabit your body. Your spirit is coded to your body. It's your spirit. But an angel has no body. They are just spirits, so they can inhabit anybody, anywhere. That's my theory. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I think. That's why you have all of these stories like the golem, where you invite an entity to go into this clay figure. This is Jewish lore, by the way, and it comes alive. Then you have things like the Egyptians with the animals hybrids, the half man, half animal hybrids that you see all over the walls. There's no reason for me to think that's not a real thing, as they didn't make up stories when they wrote things down. They were writing things down to remember them or to commemorate them. So I'm guessing that's what that was, inhabited by evil spirits. This man is inhabited by a bunch of them, and they don't want to go back to the pit. And there was there an herd of many swine feeding on the mountain, a bunch of pigs over here. And they besought him that he would suffer them to enter into the pigs, and he suffered them. What? Jesus didn't kill the devils or put them back in the pit? No, he had mercy on them. He allowed them to leave the man and go into the pigs, which immediately ran off the cliff and committed suicide. That's where we get the word from. That's what it means to voluntarily take your own life. That's what the pigs did. They didn't like having demons in them. Smart pigs, if you ask me. Anyway, what does that mean? That means as soon as the pigs ran off the cliff and died, the spirits were set free to go inhabit some other body somewhere. So they got an easy way out, and Christ facilitated it to get them out of that man who has had them for many years. He suffered them. He allowed them. Then went the devils out of the man and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the lake and were choked. Suicide. Bacon a la carte. When they had fed them, when they that fed them saw that was done, they fled and went and told it in the city and in the country. There were people there feeding the pigs, and they ran and told everybody what just happened. And they went out to see what was done and came to Jesus and found the man out of whom the devils were departed sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. Why were they afraid? Well, because they knew this man. This man had been a plague on that society for a very long time. These demons had been in that guy for a while. And everyone in town knew him. They knew what he was. And to see him sitting there in his right mind, clothed and carrying on a conversation without being demonically possessed, They're wondering what the hell caused that, because they couldn't do it. They couldn't fix that guy. They probably didn't even know he was possessed. They probably thought he was crazy or had some kind of illness, much like they do these days when they diagnose people with things like epilepsy and stuff like that. How do you know that's what that is? Sounds a lot like something else if you ask me. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I would say there's something to it. Anyway, then the whole multitude of the country of the Gardenians round about besought him to depart from them. Wait, what? Yeah, we don't want no part of this, Jesus. You are hot, too hot. We don't want the Romans coming down on us. Please, get out of here. We don't want no part of it. That's what they're asking him. Get out. Don't stay here. Go somewhere else. For they were taken with great fear, and he went up into the ship and returned back again. He went back to where he came from. Now the man out of whom the devils were cast, or departed, besought him that he might be with him. But Jesus sent him away, saying, Return to thine own house, and show how great things God hath done unto thee. And he went his way, and published throughout the whole city how great things Jesus had done unto him. Well, that's good that you have somebody out there promoting you, but this guy really wanted to go with Jesus. I guess he felt safe with him, but Jesus is like, yeah, we got a full boat, man. We're on the clock here. You got to go somewhere else. I mean, I love you and all, but you hadn't had a bath in a while and you're bleeding, so go to your house. And it came to pass that when Jesus was returned, the people gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. He just left a country where they asked him to leave because they didn't want the heat he was bringing with him. And he went back to where he came from, back to the multitude he left to go to that place to get away from. Here we are again. Hi, everybody. I'm back. Okay. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue, and he fell down at Jesus' feet and besought him that he would come into his house, for he had one only daughter, about 12 years of age, and she lay a-dying. But as he went, the people thronged him, made fun of him, ridiculed him. Why? Well, because he's Jesus. People know who he is. Now, the word thronged means pushed against. So you could look at this like fame. You know how when somebody's famous, everybody tries to get a piece of him. They want to just touch him. So they're all crowded around him and buffeting and pushing and grabbing at hair. And they don't mean to hurt him. They're just enthralled with this guy. So they're thronging him. So I think that's what this means, that he's so popular that he can barely even move without people touching him and being all close to him and stuff. So that can get a little annoying. But as he went, the people thronged him. And a woman having an issue of blood for 12 years, which had spent all of her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any. This is Mary Magdalene, by the way. Understand what's happening here. All of these people, a multitude of people, that's millions of people, are all gathered around to see what Jesus is going to do, and they are very close. They're all up on him, and he's kind of making his way through them, and I imagine his disciples are playing defense, trying to make a way so he can get through the crowd. And here's this woman behind him, and she's been bleeding her period for 12 years. 12 years nonstop. I know someone who bled for 2 years nonstop, and it nearly killed her. She became anemic. She was passing out at the table. You know, it was very bad. So 12 years, this woman has done everything she can to stop this issue of blood, and it hasn't stopped. She has spent her entire fortune on doctors, and nobody can even touch it or even slow it down. It is a bad situation and can be deadly. Anyway, she came behind him and touched the border of his garment. She didn't even touch him. She just touched his clothes. And immediately, her issue of blood staunched. Right then, as soon as she touched his robe, she stopped. She was healed. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" He felt it. He felt his virtue leave his body. He knew that he had healed someone, although he didn't see who it was. He didn't see who touched him. "Who touched me?" And when all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, Master, the multitude throng thee and press thee, and sayest thou, who touched me? Everybody touched you. What are you talking about? No, he said, somebody specific touched me. Who was it? How do we know? Everybody's touching you. They're pushing on you. They're grabbing at you. There's no way to know who touched you. What are you talking about? And Jesus said, somebody hath touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me. It wasn't just any touch. I healed somebody just now. Who was it? And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling and falling down before him, and she declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. She had to tell him. And I imagine she was terrified, because in these days, women did not have agency. This would have been a stonable offense if he got offended by it. So her being trembling and falling down at his feet is not an unusual reaction to her situation. But what did he do? How did he respond? He said, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith has made thee whole. Go in peace. Did Jesus say, I have healed you, be of good comfort? Did he say, the power of Almighty God has touched you, you're healed? He said, your faith made you whole. Just like he said to that other guy not too long ago in the last read. It was your faith that made you whole. You have to have faith. Faith is the substance of things that you hope for. And it's the evidence of the things you cannot see. It is tangible. It is real. It is evidence. It is a genuine emotion, faith. You have to have it. And if you have it, you're aware of it. And if you have little of it, you're aware of that too. Anyway, while he yet spake, there cometh one from the ruler of the synagogue's house, saying to him, it's too late. Don't worry about it. Thy daughter is dead. Don't trouble yourself, master. Don't worry about it. There's no sense in going now. She's already dead. But Jesus heard it, and he answered him, saying, Fear not, believe only, and she shall be made whole. That's a commandment. Don't be afraid. Just believe. Think about what he's saying to her. Think about how you feel when you're in your time of need, or when you feel hopeless, or when you feel like it's too late. The damage is done. Fear not, neither be dismayed, but believe only. Believe it wholeheartedly. Put your faith in Jesus, and you will be made whole. That's what he says, and I believe him. And when he came into the house, he suffered no man to go in, save Peter, James, and John, and the father and the mother of the maiden. So there were 6 people in the bedroom where the dead daughter lays. She's not a person anymore, so she don't count. And they were all crying and upset, for they had just lost their daughter. Mom and Dad, can you imagine losing your child? No parent should ever have to lose their child. That's a horrible, horrible thing that I don't wish on anybody ever. But here they are with this Yahoo that just came in from the streets that you've heard about, this hoodlum that's running around the neighborhood getting everybody's willies up. Here he is standing in the room with my dead daughter, and me and my wife are just trying to contain ourselves and do anything that might help. Anything. We're grasping at straws. We're desperate here. So we'll give this guy a shot. All wept and bewailed her, but he said, Weep not. She's not dead. She's just sleeping. To which they replied, I'm not an idiot. She's dead. No heartbeat, no breath, no movement. She's cold. Kind of smells funny. She's dead. I know what dead is. Fear not. Calm yourself down. She's not dead. She's just asleep. And they laughed him to scorn, knowing she was dead. Have you lost your mind, dude? Why would you say something like that in front of grieving parents? Of course she's dead. Don't give them hope that they can get something they're not going to get. Watch and see what happens. But he put them all out. Go outside. Let me alone with the dead girl. And took her by the hand and called, saying, Maid, rise. And her spirit came again, and she rose straight away. And he commanded to give her meat. Somebody get this girl something to eat. She's just come back from the dead. And her parents were astonished, as they should be. But he charged them that they should tell no man what was afoot. Don't tell anybody that I just raised your daughter from the dead. Keep it to yourself. Of course, they didn't do that. Then he called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority over all devils to and to cure diseases. Why did he do that? Well, because I imagine he's tired. And also, he's not going to be here very much longer. He's on his way to dying. Somebody's got to take over. So he is, let them watch long enough. They see what he's about. They see the things he's done and in the manner in which he does it. He effectively has ordained them, and they are going to go out and ordain other people. That's how church works. What I do came from someone who did it, and on and on and on. That's how you learn how to do this job. You pay attention. You apprentice under somebody who does it, or you do the studying, whatever it takes, and then you go out and do it for yourself. And it takes time. It's a learning process. It takes a little effort to do what I do. It's not just off the top of my head. Anyway. And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. It's time to go, guys. I give you the authority by the power vested in me by Almighty God and the greater inner city of Jerusalem. I bestow upon you the power to cast out devils and heal the sick. Gets to healing. So they went out preaching all over, preaching the kingdom of God, sharing the good news. That's what they are. They are sharing the good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he said unto them, this is important, take nothing for your journey, neither staves nor scrip, paper, neither bread nor money. Neither have 2 coats apiece. Just wear what you're wearing. Don't bring a money bag. Don't bring any food. Don't bring any papers or pens. Don't bring any preparations, for I will provide for you what you need when you need it, period. Think about what he's telling them. If you're going to build my church, I'm going to send people to take care of you while you build my church. That's what it is. But he says, don't save it. Don't prepare, Don't have a money bag so you can put money in it and keep it and get all grubby-handed. Just go do your job. And when you have a need, I'll provide for you. That's it. You do the work, I'll do the paying. It's very simple. And whatsoever house you enter into, your house, there abide and then depart. Stay there while you need to be there and then leave. Wherever you go into that house and stay there while you're there and then move on. The guy, if you tell him who you are, he'll either invite you in or tell you to leave. If he does, kick the dirt off your feet and keep moving out of that town. That whole town ain't worthy of your time. The whole town, because one person turned you away. That's in another book, probably. We'll see what it says. Anyway. Whatsoever house you enter into, there abide, and thence depart. And whosoever will not receive you, when you go out of that city, shake off the very dust from your feet for a testimony against them. And they departed and went through the towns, preaching the gospel, the good news, the word of God, and healing everywhere. Amen. Uh-oh. What number are we on, Amanda? My book just jumped. 7? I'm at 8:40, so I got to go back. It just jumped a lot. Hang on a second. I don't even know how it does that. 7 what? 9-7. Hang on, guys. Yeah, I got it. All right. And they departed, and they went through towns, preaching the gospel and healing everywhere. Now, Herod, the tetrarch, or puppet king, heard all of that was going on, all that was done by Jesus, and he was perplexed, because it was said of some that John was risen from the dead, and some that Elias had appeared, and of others that one of the old prophets was risen again. Now, Herod is the guy who, when Jesus was born, was afraid that he was going to lose his kingdom. He didn't know it was Jesus, but he knew the prophecy projected this time, and he met the wise men that came to see Jesus, and he knew it was time for that prophecy to be fulfilled. So he ordered the killing of the firstborn of every family in that town at that time. So a lot of parents lost their firstborn child, or their male child, because of the coming of Christ. It just so happened that God sent an angel and told them to get up and leave and go to sign a census somewhere. So they went and left. So they weren't in the town when all the children were killed. So he missed death by that much. And then Herod is also the guy who had John the Baptist beheaded years earlier, when his daughter-in-law, who he had a little thing for, asked for John's head on a platter because her mother told her to say that, because she hated him. And Herod obliged. So Herod is the reason John the Baptist, who came to make a way for Christ, died. And he's the reason that all the children who he thought might be Christ died. And he's probably going to be heavily involved in trying to get Christ now. So he's hearing about this guy, and he's remembering, oh yeah, the king of the Jews was supposed to have been born back then. Is this that guy? He doesn't know, but he's putting the pieces together. Is this the guy that I tried to have killed? Is he coming for me? What's going on? Is he John the Baptist raised from the dead? I had that guy's head cut off. He might be wanting to get some revenge if it is him. Who is this guy healing people and raising the dead? And Herod said, John have I beheaded, but who is this of whom I hear such things? And he desired to see him. And the apostles, when they were returned, told him all that they had done. And he took them and went aside privately into a desert place belonging to the city called Bethsaida. And the people, they knew it, followed him. When they knew it, followed him, and received him. And he received them. And he spake unto them of the kingdom of God, and healed them that had need of healing, because that's the kind of guy Jesus was. He always took care of every crowd he was in front of, even if he didn't feel like being there, even if it was overwhelming. He managed to take care of everybody, so he did that. So he's just got back to this place, Bethsaida, from wherever he went when he had sent the disciples out. They went one way and he went the other way, so I guess they were all going out preaching, but they came back together at Bethsaida, and they're eager to tell Jesus all that they had done. So he goes and ministers to them privately, and all the people are there. He ain't getting no private time, you know. So he has to take care of his crowd, and that's what he does. Gives all the healings and does all the preaching, and finally there's going to get a little time to rest. And when the day began to wear away, it's almost dark, they came the 12, and said unto him, Send the multitude away, that they may go into the towns and the country round about, and lodge, and get victuals, or get something to eat. For we are here in a desert place. They can't stay here, Jesus. I know you like them. I know you're trying to meet them all and read all their chats. I know you're trying to get to the bottom of the chat, but it's 11:30 and it's time to go to bed. Send them away so they can go get something to eat, lest they starve to death while they're waiting on you to get to the bottom of the chat. Anyway, I digress. But he said unto them, give ye them something to eat. And they said, we don't have anything to eat. All we got is 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Except we should go and buy meat for all these people? You think we're made of money? You told us not to bring any money, not to make any money, not to go out and save any money. We don't have any money. How are we going to feed 5,000 people? There were about 5,000 men. Now, when they counted people in those days, if you're wondering why I'm yelling, it's because it's raining really loud. And I don't think you can hear it because of my noise suppressor, but I can hear it, and it's louder than me. So I apologize if I'm talking loud. There were about 5,000 men, and when they counted men in those days, they did not count the women or the children or the old people. These are just able-aged men. So more than 5,000 people were there, but about 5,000 men. And he said to his disciples, make them sit down in companies of 50. So 50 here, make an aisle, 50 here, make an aisle, 50 here. Every 50, make them sit in companies. Oh, April just hit me with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you, April. Appreciate that very much. God bless you. No message, but a little huggy face. Oh, sweet. So they set all the people down in the field in rows of 50. They did so and made them all sit down. So they're all sitting kind of Indian style, waiting to see what's going to happen next. And Jesus took 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. He looked up in the heavens and he blessed them and he brake them and he gave to the disciples to set it before the multitude. So he would hand it to them and they would hand it to the people in rows. And as they walked, he would continuously break fish, bread, fish, bread, fish, bread. And they did eat until they were full. The Bible says they did eat and were filled, and there was taken up of fragments that remained unto them 12 baskets, like a picnic basket, 12 baskets full of leftovers that they couldn't eat, out of 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, which is a decent meal for 4 guys. Jesus made it stretch 5,000 people, men, women, and children also. Amazing. 12 baskets of fragments that they couldn't eat. How about that? And it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him. And he asked them, saying, who say the people that I am? Who do they think I am? And they answered, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others say one of the old prophets is risen again. Then he said to them, but whom say you that I am? Who do you think I am? Peter, his friend, said, you're the anointed one of the Almighty God. You are the Christ of God, the anointed of God. And he straitly charged them and commanded them to tell no man that thing. Hey, I'm glad you think that, but keep your mouth shut. It ain't time for everybody to know that yet. Then he said, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and the chief priests and the scribes and be slain and be raised the 3rd day. Now, this is before they start their journey towards Jerusalem. So they have been involved in their ministry for a while. I don't know how long, maybe a few months. Who knows? Maybe a year. I don't know. But they hadn't begun the journey to his death yet. He's telling them beforehand he's going to die and then be raised again on the 3rd day. And let me assure you, they do not hear him. They hear the words he's saying, but it is not registering in their head. They don't get it. He might as well be speaking Greek. Well, he was speaking Greek, but he might as well be speaking English because they don't hear him. And he's telling them, I have to suffer now. That's why I've given you the power and the authority. I've trained you up. I've taught you how to do this. Now it's my turn to suffer. So you're going to have to control things while I'm suffering. That's kind of the meeting they're having. And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. If you want to follow me, you have to give up everything and follow me. You have to make your burden to be lose everything you have and follow me, just you. That's if you want to follow me, that's the way it's got to be. That in another place in the Bible it says you have to hate your mother and father to follow Jesus. But what it means is you have to love less your mother and father, meaning they can't be more important than Jesus. If you're going to be my man, you got to be my man Friday. You know what I'm saying? You got to follow me with everything. You got to give up all your money, all your house, all your possessions, all your friends, all your family, and follow me, because this is a martyr's journey. We're going to die when we do this thing. It's not something that you need to bring people into. If you follow me, you have to follow me. It's your cross, it's your burden to follow me. But it's a decision you have to make. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. Meaning if you're following me and you choose to protect yourself rather than do what's right, you'll lose. You will not win. That's not saving yourself. That's actually the opposite of what we're trying to do. Whoever will save himself will lose his life. But whosoever would lose his life for my sake, if you would put yourself on a martyr's block, if you would stand in front of a bullet for me, if you would fight the fight that I'm fighting, if you would lose your life for my sake, the same shall save his life. Because that's what we're doing here. I'm talking about something beyond life now. I'm talking about the afterlife. If you save your life, you will lose your afterlife, because that's not your role if you're following me. That's the context. If you're following me, you have to take up the cross and follow me. For what is a man advantaged if he gain the whole world and lose himself or be cast away? For whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he shall come in his own glory and in his Father's and of the holy angels. That's when I'll be ashamed of you. If you doubt my words and you're afraid to admit that I said them and stand by them, if you are ashamed of me, if you are terrified to let people know you're a Christian, if you hide your faith because it's not cool in public, I will be ashamed of you when I come in my Father's glory with a host of angels at my side. That's when I will be ashamed of you. You don't want that. He says, but I tell you of a truth. There be some standing here with me today, right here in this crowd. There's some which shall not taste of death till they see the kingdom of God. Now, you know they've seen it. They were there when he transfigured, and they saw Elijah talking to him. They were there when he was raised from the dead. He walked with them for 500 days after his death. He hung out for a while with them. They saw the kingdom of God. They understood things about what's happening here that we will never experience. That's why they were the disciples. That's why all of them, except for one that I'm aware of, willingly let themselves be killed, because all they had to do was recant and say Jesus didn't do what he did. All they had to do was say it's a lie, he's not the Messiah, and they could have lived. Every one of them were given a choice to recant that Jesus is the Son of God and that he died for our sins. All they had to do was say that. That was wrong, and they would have saved their lives. And every one of them died by crucifixion, beheading, stoning, drowning. One of them spent his entire life in prison, so forth and so on. Every one of them went to their deaths, refusing to deny the validity of Jesus' words. They knew it was true. They knew it didn't matter if they were beheaded. They knew what was coming next. You understand what I'm saying? When you know that, you don't fear death because you know there's something after that. You know that this is just a stepping stone and we're into way bigger things than you killing me. So none of them, not one of them, refused his story. All of them agreed that he was the Son of God and that he died for our sins and that every word he spoke was the truth. All of them went to their deaths professing that at the top of their lungs. That's how you know it's real. Nobody would do that. Nobody would lose their life over a few words. I'll tell you anything you want to hear if it means you're not cutting my head off. Most people are that way. They were not. That's tough. And it came to pass about 8 days after these sayings that he took Peter and John and James and went up into a mountain to pray. Some weird stuff's going to happen up there. Three guys, Peter, James, John, and Jesus, up in a mountain to pray. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered, and his raiment was white and glistening. Are you paying attention? I'm describing to you what the Spirit of Jesus Christ looks like because he transfigured before their very eyes into a spiritual body, which means he could go back and forth, which means the spiritual body is something akin to the physical body. It's not like he sloughed his skin off and laid it laying on the ground. He turned into something else, which means this matter is compatible with that matter. If you're a scientist, that matters. Anyway, as he prayed, his fashion changed. His countenance was altered. His raiment was as white and glistening, and behold, there talked with him two men, all of a sudden out of nowhere, which were Moses and Elias, who were both long dead. Here they are, standing with Jesus, who appeared in glory. They were shining. That Shekinah glory was all over them. And they spake of his decease, which he should accomplish at Jerusalem. They're talking about him dying, which Peter, James, and John are not hearing him say. They hear it. They don't believe it. Anyway, but Peter and they that were there with him were heavy with sleep. And when they were awake, they saw his glory and the two men that stood with him. They woke up to this sight. And it came to pass, as they departed from him, Peter said, Master, is it good for us to be here? Let us make thee 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias, not knowing what he said. Yeah, I invited you. I wanted you to see this. Of course it's good for you to be here. These guys are tripping. They don't know what to think. They just saw a man turn into not a man and talk to two things that were dead, and they recognized them, so they knew who they were. Weird. Anyway, while he thus spake, there came a cloud and overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud. So this big roll of cloud just kind of covered them like out of nowhere. It's a bright sunny day. Here comes this big cloud, just covers them up. And there came a voice out of that cloud saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. Guess who's at dinner? Guess who's coming to dinner, folks? God himself shows up. Is it good for us to be here? Should we build some tabernacles? I think you should be quiet and just pay attention to what's happening. Something is different about today. And when the voice was past, Jesus was found alone. And they kept it closed and told no man in those days of any of those things which they had seen? Of course not. No, who would have believed them? They saw God, Peter, James, and John. They saw the glory of God Almighty. They saw the kingdom of heaven unfold before them. They understood this guy's special. That's Almighty God and Moses and Elias. And oh my God, what did we just see? Right? Can you imagine? The most advanced thing any of them have ever seen is a horse and buggy. Now they're talking to God on a mountainside, middle of the daytime. And it came to pass on the next day, when they were come down from the hill, much people met him, and behold, a man of the company cried out, saying, Master, I beseech thee, look upon my son. He is my only child. And lo, a spirit taketh him, and he suddenly crieth out, and it teareth him, and he foamed at the mouth again, and it bruised him heartily, departeth from him. Yeah, it's a bad situation. And I besought thy disciples to cast him out, and they could not. Didn't Jesus give them the authority to cast out devils? Well, this one's different. Do you know who it is? Can I give you 3 guesses? Anyway, Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you and suffer you? Bring thy son hither. Why is Jesus mad? Because he taught them how to do this, and they can't do it. They don't have the faith to do it. So Jesus is telling them, look, I'm not going to be with you forever, guys. You need to figure this out, because when I'm gone, it's up to you. And if you can't do it, it don't get done. How long am I going to have to teach you how to do this? This demon is tough, but if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you could say to that mountain, be gone, and it would be gone, because that's faith. And after what you've seen today and yesterday, how could you not have faith? Anyway. Bring your son over here. And as he was yet a-coming, the devil threw him down and tore him. And Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the child and delivered him again to his father. And they were all amazed at the mighty power of God. But while they wondered every one at all things which Jesus did, he said unto his disciples, Let these sayings sink down into your ears, for the Son of Man shall be delivered into the hands of men. Listen, dude, you need to imprint on your brain the things that I've told you, because in a little while, I'm going to be delivered into the hands of men, and I'm going to die, and you're not going to have me anymore. So you need to get it right. You need to figure out what I'm telling you and understand it. That's what Jesus is trying to get across here. They are not grasping the whole picture. But they understood not this saying, and it was hid from them that they perceived it not, and they feared to ask him of that saying. Well, he's already in a bad mood. He's already griping at them, so they don't want to press their luck and ask him what he meant. They didn't get it. They don't understand it. And I imagine it would be hard for you to understand. You love this man. You've given up everything to follow him. He's not, I've seen him bring dead people back to life. Nobody can kill this guy. He's the Son of God. Who's going to kill him? So I can understand why they're having a problem with this. But nonetheless, they're not hearing him. I'm not going to be here very long, guys. You need to grab hold of what I'm teaching you and learn it. Then there arose a reasoning among them, which of them should be greatest in Jesus' absence. Well, when he's gone, if that's true, which one of us is going to be in charge? Oh, the old capitalist raises its head. Is this a democracy? I think it's not. And Jesus, perceiving the thought of their heart, took a child and set him by him, and said unto them, so he grabbed a kid for visual aid, set him down, and he says to him, Whosoever shall receive this child in my name, receiveth me. And whosoever shall receiveth me, receiveth him that sent me, my Father. And whosoever shall receiveth me, receiveth him that sent me, my Father. I said that twice so that you could hear that it's a package deal. If you receive me or my child or a stranger, if you'll receive that child in the name of God, you receive Jesus also. He comes with that package. And if you've received Jesus, you've received God Almighty, because they come in a package. That's why if you believe in Christ, you will not perish and have everlasting life, because it's a package deal. They are one and the same. If you receive one, you receive the other. That's what he's telling them. For he that is least among you all, the same shall be great. Why is he telling them this? Because a true leader, a king, a real, honest-to-God authority figure is a servant to his people. He's not over them. He's under them. He carries them. He services them. He provides for them. He cares for them. That's what a king does, a real king. Not these tyrants that are running around controlling every little aspect of your lives and dunning you for all the tax money and putting you in prison for things that should be legal. A real king serves you. He washes your feet. He loves you. He sacrifices everything for your well-being. And he's trying to teach these 12, these men who are going to set up the churches in the future, very near future, to service the world with the gospel, the good news that Christ is espousing. They need to learn how to be real kings, because they are the ones who know about the kingdom of heaven, and everyone else is at a disadvantage. Everyone else on earth is under them. So which among you are the greatest? None of you. Not one of you is over the other one. You are all servants of God, who is the king. What does God do? And John answered and said, Master, we saw one casting out devils in thy name, and we forbade him, because he followeth us not. You forbade somebody for casting out devils in my name? Why would you do that? Well, he's not part of our group. Jesus said, forbid him not, for he that is not against us is for us. Duh. If that's not your enemy, why are you wasting time telling him not to do the thing we're trying to get people to know how to do? He don't have to be part of our group. He can be a Catholic. That's fine. He can be a Protestant. He can be a Methodist. If he believes in me, he's doing the right thing. The religion is unimportant. Do you understand that? The religion is not important. What matters is who you worship. You worship God, you're in. You believe in Jesus, you're in. If it's okay with him, it's okay with me. I don't care who you are. And it came to pass, when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem. It's time now. We're heading in that direction, and nothing is going to stop us. And sent messengers before his face, and they went and entered into a village of the Samaritans to make ready for him. That's when he told them to go prepare the upper room. So he's headed that way. And they did not receive him, because his face was as though he would go to Jerusalem. In other words, they might have wanted to go elsewhere, to Samaria. The Samaritans are in Samaria. He went to a village of the Samaritans. They sent people to go that way. Jesus is like, no, I'm going that way. Well, I've already sent messengers to Samaria. I'm going to Jerusalem. Well, why don't we take it? No. I have something to do now. It's time. We're heading that way. So pack up and let's go. And that's where we're going to stop today. We will pick up next Sunday, chapter 9, verse 54. Man, that was a great read tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it touched your heart. I hope you love every word of Jesus Christ. I hope you want to reach out with both your hands to Father Almighty God and ask Him to be part of your life. I hope you do that. While you're considering the words that we went through tonight, won't you do me a favor, please? Hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you, and it really does help the channel with the algorithms. It helps us get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me. Drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build here and you'd like to help me do that, consider joining the channel or buy yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt. Throw a super chat in the chat box. But if you feel led to send your tithes, offerings, or love offerings, or you just want to help me pay my light bill, you can do that by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband, or if you're a Cash App user, $jakejohnsonband. Every little bit helps. I appreciate it. It is a win-win. Why? It is a blessing for me, but it is a blessing for you too. How do I know that to be true? Because God notices these things and He writes about it in His Word all the time. I will do everything in my power to be worthy of that support. I will answer all of your questions and comments, as I always do right now. Okay, how do you feel? Do you feel like you learned something tonight? Do you feel like you understand the story a little better? Do you feel enlightened? Do you feel like your brain's turning to mush? You tell me what's on your mind. April says, LOL. Walter says, I like anything that starts when you turn the key and stops when you step on the brakes. And makes that any make that's easy to work on and not Toyota trucks like Linda's. So that's pretty specific. Anything but a Toyota, right? April says, Walter, I agree with you. Miss P says, I can't believe it was nearly 25 years ago building that truck with my brother. I couldn't have done it without him. Aw. It's nice to have a brother to do things with. Time does fly, Mr. P. It absolutely flies. Flies when you're having fun. I've been doing this podcast for 10 years. Can you believe that? We're on episode 890. We're almost in 900 episodes. You imagine that? Seems like I just started it yesterday. I'm doing 5 shows a week, sometimes 6. That's crazy. But here we are, working away, getting it done. Time does fly. Amanda says, yes, it does, Mr. P. April says, fact, John, it sure does. Wow. Yes, it does. And Walter says, I can tell you all about boats full of water. It is a real scary. But they thought so. Although they had Jesus on board, so I don't know why they were scared. I mean, surely that thought had to cross their mind. Amanda says, yeah, April, it's already 5 months since I've seen you. LOL, time is flying. Feels like a year. Amanda says, oh no, Walter, I bet it's scary to be on a boat that's filling up with water. And April says, dang, 5 months? Jeez, 5 months. Got here in December. And April says, why did it go by so slow, like in slow motion when we were kids? And after we had kids, time just sped up 2 times, now fast forwarding. Well, part of that is because time is running down as we get closer and closer to the end of time. And as you get closer to the end of something, it tends to speed up. The other part of that is because back when you were a child, you had no expectation or experience of life. You were living it for the first time while you were doing it, and it felt appropriate. It felt slower. As you age and the years go by, you do the same things over and over again, year by year by year. You get into a habit, a rut. You have set ways. You do things the way that you do them. You drive the same way to work every day. You do the same job every day. You say the same words to the same friends every day. You get in a routine, and it gets faster and faster and faster because you know what's coming. And it seems like time just kind of blurs together. That's the reason. Also, you perceive that time differently as you age. It hasn't sped up. It just feels like it has. You stop remembering every moment, and you start remembering week to week, like from paycheck to paycheck, or from light bill to light bill, or from super chat to super chat, or something like that. So time speeds up. If you want time to slow back down, take your watch off and throw your calendar away and just live. Don't wait about time. Don't worry about it. Don't look for dates. Do things as they come. Live for today. Put no thought into tomorrow. Put no thought into yesterday. Live for today, and time will stop. It won't stop, but it'll feel a lot slower. If you look at your watch, time goes by faster. Amanda says, age and perception. Yes. What he said. And April says, OMG. And April says, many. Right on. And Amanda says, in the Bible, legion is used as a term for a large, undefined number, drawing upon the Roman military unit, which typically consisted of around 5,000 to 6,000 soldiers. Well, there you go. A legion, 5,000 people. That's how many demons were in that guy. A bunch. April says, whoa. Man, they died bad back in those days, and always in war. Yes, there was a lot of wars in those days, as there are now. There always has been. I don't know why my nose is itching so bad. There always has been. Maybe somebody's going to stick $1 in my nose. Ooh. All that bacon, says April. Yeah, all that bacon going to waste. It's salty, though. They did go into the salt water, so they could be retrieved. I don't know if you'd want to eat demon-infested pork, though. I'm sure that would cause heartburn at the very least. And Amanda says, bacon, bacon, bacon. Now I'm hungry, thanks. Do we have any bacon? April says, he didn't say that, LOL. It's me. What's up, buddy? He says, hey, okay, hello. What book is tonight? Book of Luke. We started in 8:22. Yep, 8:22. Amanda says, hi, it's me. April says, it's me. Good to see you. And April says, Luke. It's me. Says, hi, Amanda, and hi, April. And Amanda says, Luke 8:42 is where we're at right now. It's me. Says, Luke was a doctor. Yes, he was. Or he was educated in the doctor world. He used a lot of language that doctors used in those days. That's why we assume that. He's very educated, very well spoken, and very rapid in his writing style. You can almost feel the energy when he's writing. And April says, no. It's all no. And you can get your no t-shirt. They're there now. April says, I don't know, LOL. It's me, says, I think he is the author of Acts as well. Luke, it's possible. There's a couple of books that you can tell the writing by the style of writing, yeah. And April says, Jesus is the doctor. He is the doctor. He'll cure what ails you, but he's no doctor. April says, wow. Wow. It's me, says, yes, April, that's right. Aaron, what's up, buddy? He says, sorry, I'm late. Well, do better next time, buddy. I don't mind. I understand. And by the way, for those of you that were with us on Saturday, I had to leave in the middle of the show because it was getting very late and the chat just kept growing exponentially and I couldn't keep up. But I had a chance to read through it this afternoon, this morning. And man, you guys are funny. I wish I'd have kept reading. That was some funny stuff you guys were talking about Saturday night. Thank you all for contributing to that. And I will do my best to not do that as often as I can. But when it gets really late, I do have to go because I got to work too. So that does cut into my sleeping time a little bit. But man, that was a great chat. And I appreciate you all for being part of it. Amanda says, hi, Aaron. And April says, hi, Aaron. Good to see you, love. Aaron says, hey. And April says, amen. Linda says, hi, Aaron. Smiley face, wavy hand. Diego, what's up, buddy? He says, faith can do the impossible. Well, with faith, you can do the impossible. But faith itself is an inanimate object. It is just a internal feeling of trust and belief. So with faith, you can do anything. All things are possible through Christ. And Amanda says, hi, Diego. And April says, oh, I love this part. My beta fish wax. Beta fish wax? What are you talking about? April says, was. My beta fish was? I don't know what you're saying there, April. Diego says, hey, Amanda. And April says, out of water for almost 10 minutes and it lived. Oh, cool. How did it do that? It must have been holding its breath. Your beta fish was out of water for 10 minutes and lived. Wow. That's a little miracle right there. I think we can only go about 3 minutes without breathing. And April says, hi, Diego. Good to see you, love. And Linda says, good to see you, Diego. And April says, rise, child. That's what he told her. Maiden, rise. And Aaron says, hey, Diego. April says, yes, it is a blessing from God. Always. It's me, says, apostolic succession. Yes. Apostolic succession. Yes. One apostle teaches another person, and that person becomes an apostle, and then goes and teaches another person, and that person becomes an apostle. Correct. An epistle and apostle at that. Apologetic epistle and apostle. Mm-hmm. April hits me with that $9.99 super chat. Cash App. Amanda says, thank you, April hon. Yes, thank you very much. And then my chat jumped. There we go. April says, you're welcome. Smiley faces, hearts, and stars. And Walter says, hi, it's me, and hi, Diego. And it's me says, hey, Walter. Amy says, hey, Amy. She says, hi, y'all. I'm late, but I'm here. It's been an extremely busy day. I bet. Getting over that flood ain't no joke. A lot of work. God bless you. How you doing? Amy says, like, shared, and invited some friends. Nice. Amanda says, hi, Amy. And Aaron says, Amy, hugs. Amy says, I was very delighted when I saw a group of students studying the Bible on campus. They were not trying to hide it either. Awesome. Maybe some wisdom is coming back into the world after the decade we've had of nonsense. A couple of decades we've had. Amy says, Angel Eye is here. She's watching on her TV. Hi, Angel Eye. How you doing? We miss you around here. Amanda says, hey, man, that's awesome, Amy. And Amanda says, hi, Angela. And Aaron says, who's Angel Eye? Angela Ashkins. She's out there listening. Some people do that. They watch me on the TV or whatever. Or they might be listening on the phone but working and can't type. But they're here. I see your number up there. We got 40 people watching. And Amanda says, Angela, Aaron. Amy says, Angela Ashkins, Angela, my sweet friend. She is sweet. And Aaron says, oh, that's cool. And April says, yeah, how times have changed. And Amy, good to see you, love. And Amanda says, we are in a bad storm. If the internet cuts out, we are sorry, y'all. Yep, it's possible because we got like supposed to be 80-mile-an-hour winds today, but I haven't felt it. But for about 15 minutes this afternoon, it felt like it was about 50-mile-an-hour winds. But we'll see. I don't know what the night has in store for us. We might have a tornado or something like that happen. Who knows? But so far, so good. We're still kicking it. Excellent connections. Maybe we won't get cut off. Amy says, it feels like a Monday. Ugh. I went back to work today. It does feel like a Monday, doesn't it? Kind of wonder why. As long as you're safe, it's all good, says Aaron. God bless you. Amanda says, "Oh, Amy, did you have a good vacation?" Amy says, "It was okay. Wasn't like going to Greece or anything. Hanging around the floodwaters. Maybe get some fishing in." Amanda says, "Yep, we are safe. It's just a thunderstorm and hard rain so far." And Amy says, "Has Tribble experienced thunder yet?" Probably today she has. I don't know. I hadn't heard it thundering, but we did have a storm, so I assume it thundered. I'll ask. No? No. Amanda says, "It's raining so hard it makes me want to sleep." Me too. I wish we had a big old tin roof to sleep under. I love that. That's a good sleep right there. And I do have a tin roof, but it's down in my Florida room, and I can't hear it in my bedroom, so it's a moot point. It makes me want to put a aluminum awning outside my bedroom window so that I can hear it rain when it rains. Or maybe I could just put the rain sound on the internet, turn all the lights out, and pretend I'm listening to it rain. I could do that. Sorry. I don't mean to keep hitting my nose, but it's itching me like crazy. I guess I got allergies. And Amanda says, "Nope, not yet, Amy. But she's played in the rain a couple of times, and she's trying to catch the rain coming off the roof at the back porch. It is too funny." You should have seen her last night. She was introduced to the brush for the first time. So Amanda was brushing her, and she was just skitzing out. Her little back legs were jerking, and she was trembling and rolling her head around. It's just really, really funny to watch. Apparently, the brush is tickly. Amanda says, they don't make thunder vests in her size. What is a thunder vest? I don't know what that is. Aaron don't either. He says, "What's a thunder vest?" I don't know. It sounds kind of kinky, though, don't it? Amy says, a snuggie for dogs, a thunder vest. Just wrap her in a blanket. I don't think dogs wear vests. I don't think they'd get it. It might be like a thunder vest for a person who is, projecting onto their dog. I might be wrong. I don't know. Linda Davis says, "Good to hear that the flooding has subsided and you are not stuck at home still." Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Thank God for that. Aaron says, "Oh, like a blanket hoodie." Yeah, but for a dog. To me, that's like putting shoes on a dog. They don't like it. It's cute, but they don't like it. Mine would eat it, says Aaron. Amen. You'd have a bunch of thread if you gave her a vest. Amanda says, "Yep, she will be okay. She got over the guitar. She likes it now. I still hadn't got her where she'll sit up on the guitar while I'm playing, but she won't run from it now anyway." Amy says, "Thanks, Linda." And Amanda says, "Whatever scares her only does it once or twice. The only thing she doesn't care for so far is the vacuum cleaner." Yeah, I don't even like the vacuum cleaners. I don't blame her for that. Do you imagine a dog hearing a vacuum for the first time? Dear God, what is that? Row, 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 row. Amy says, Aaron, it's like a tight-fitting hug hoodie. It's supposed to calm the dog down. Or tie it up where it can't move like a papoose. You know what a papoose is, don't you? Or a papoose. How do you say that? Papoose? Papoose? It's a strap for a baby. It's a baby strap. Yeah. Stop it. Driving me crazy. Papoose. That's it. Papoose. It's an Indian thing where you tie your baby to a board and throw it over your shoulder and walk through the field. Papoose. Aaron says, Amanda, what does the wrench with the hammer crossed mean? Ooh, good question. Hope you never find out. The wrench and the hammer crossed is a symbol for band hammer. Band hammer. She has a wrench and a hammer, and she will whack you in the head with it if you get out of line. I think. April says, Amen. Mr. P says, I got to go get some sleep. Good night, y'all. I'll see you again soon. Mr. P, God bless you, sir. Hope you have a good night's sleep. Enjoy the rest. Amy says, message retracted. I don't care for vacuums either. Right on. Noisy little buggers. And Amanda says, it's a band hammer. She's the law. She's like Judge Dredd of the chat room. I'm the law. Linda Davis says, good night, Mr. P. Sleep well. And Amanda says, good night, Mr. P. And April says, good night, John. Much love. Hearts and prayers and smiley faces with herpes. Walter says, good night, Mr. P. And Aaron says, I had one for my dog, Leo. He is an escape artist, and he got out of it. Most dogs will wiggle until they get out of anything. You could tie them up with duct tape, and they'd figure out a way out of it. Or dig through it or something. Amanda says, I put her in her bed, on our bed, when I vacuum, and she just lays there till I'm done. But the first time, she tripped out, and I had to hold her while I vacuumed. Yeah, she thought she was dying the first time she heard that vacuum cleaner. Or thought something was going to eat her. I don't know what she was thinking, but she did not like it. Amanda says, LOL, she's small enough. I could put a sock on her and it would work like a thunder jacket. Don't use one of my socks. But she is kind of tiny. I don't know why you couldn't just like wrap her up in some toilet paper or paper towels. If you had to. Or you could just say, it's thunder, relax. Amanda says, great read, Jake. Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. As always, I enjoy doing what I do. Bill Bennett says, great read. Good night, guys. God bless. Bill, tell your kids we said hello. God bless you, sir, and thank you for being here, and I appreciate you. Walter Davis says, great read, Jake. Thanks. Thank you, Walter. God bless you, sir. And Linda says, thank you, Jake. Thank you, Linda. God bless you, ma'am. I appreciate you guys so much. Amanda says, good night, Bill. And Linda says, good night, Bill. And Walter says, good night, Bill. And Jake says, good night, Bill. And Amy says, question for Jake. Great. I've been waiting for one of those. I have a Q&A every night just for this occasion. So lay it on me, sister. Have you heard about near-death experiences? NDEs? Yes. People say they see a warm, comforting, bright light and feel euphoric. Then they are sent back. How do you feel about it? Well, I've never had one, so I can't feel any way about it. But I can tell you what I think. I think the brain does a lot of amazing things, including illustrate the world in a way that we can make sense of it in the form of color images and dreams and visions and hallucinations and all kinds of things that the brain can do. And it runs primarily on oxygen, electricity, and metals that run through your bloodstream. It has a blood-brain barrier, which contains a certain kind of fluid that isn't in the rest of your body. It's just in the sac that contains your brain, which is a way to keep it fluid and not dry it out so it can function. The brain having no moving parts, it doesn't need lubrication or anything like that. But it does need to be suspended. It floats in your head. It doesn't touch the sides of your brain. Now, when you die, obviously your heart stops beating. That is the mark of death. That's what they look for when they're looking for life signs, heartbeat. When you stop pumping blood, you stop bringing oxygen through the carotid arteries into the brain. And when your brain is starved of oxygen, it begins to reach out to try to find some way to move forward without oxygen. And in that case, it would probably cause a lot of hallucinations and various visions and whatnot. Now, that being said, your brain is also used for prayer and communion with God, and who knows how all of this works. I don't doubt that people have seen their way into heaven. I have no idea. I haven't experienced it myself, so I can't speak firsthand on it. I'm not going to call anybody a liar, but I will say this: there is an uncanny amount of similarities to the things that people report. That's not a coincidence. That being said, I believe that the spirit is in heaven already. I don't think it is in your body. I think that there is a cord, for a lack of a better word, some kind of connection, some kind of Wi-Fi signal from this meat sack to your spirit. And I believe that your spirit controls this meat sack, remote controlled via Wi-Fi, plugged in through your eyes. That's what I believe. So is it possible that they see a route to heaven? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how the process from living to dying works. Jesus seemed to make easy work of it. He just transfigured. He just turned into his spiritual form. His body vanished. So it can't be that hard to get there. He did it. But as I also think that it's a great opportunity for some people to get attention. And it's the same people, by the way, who claim to be abducted by aliens, which, if you're a thinking person, you know is night terrors. Every culture has the same thing, but in every culture, it's described according to their cultural way of thinking. For in ancient Africa, it was an old voodoo woman that would sit on your chest and look at you. Further back, it was a succubus that would come and sit on you and drain your life force out or try to molest you. In modern times, it's little gray aliens trying to probe your anus, you know. It's the same thing. It's night terrors. Your brain does amazing things when you lay on your back and cut the oxygen flow off to your head because you're sleeping with sleep apnea, and you begin to see things that may or may not be some other realm. I don't know. I suffered from it when I was a teenager on into my late 20s. I had night terrors every night, so much so that I thought I was astral projecting, and I possibly was. I don't know. It was weird, and it was uncontrollable, but I remembered it, and I had people watch me when I slept, and while I was fighting violently to shake myself awake from this paralysis state with this electric sound of energy all over me, I'm shaking like this, trying to wake myself up. They said I never moved even a flinch. So it's clearly in my head, not in my body. Does that mean I'm transferring into another realm? I don't know. That I've experienced. That I can talk about. But I can tell you, I believe there's an afterlife, which means I believe at some point you have to get to that afterlife. So when you die, your spirit goes to that afterlife. If you're resurrected, or if you're brought back to life, your heartbeat is started again, or maybe God ain't ready for you yet, you come back. So is it possible for you to remember that? Sure. I don't see a reason that it's not possible. I can't say anything other than that because I've never experienced it. But I hope that helps. I don't not believe in reincarnation. The Bible doesn't not say that that happens. It doesn't say it does, but it doesn't deny it. So, I don't know. The soul is a strange thing. Amanda says, I got here in November, not December. Are you sure? I think it was December. You might be right. I thought it was December 5th. Amy says, time gets faster because I'm getting slower. That might be, yeah. Aaron says, thank you for the word. I'm tired. I'm tired too, buddy. Hang in there. You'll make it. I love you, buddy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming despite being tired. That means a lot. Amanda says, you're welcome, Aaron. Good night. And Amy says, fish, piss, water. Amy, there is no new water on planet Earth. There is no process that makes water out of nothing. Every ounce of water that is on planet Earth has been here since the creation of planet Earth in one form or the other. You are 100% drinking dinosaur pee and everybody who's died in the past. And probably ashes of dead bodies and microbes of all kinds. 100%. Fish pee too. And Amanda says, fish do everything in the water, Amy. You ever seen a dolphin get friendly? And cover you with the little flakes. Those aren't flakes. Aaron says, it's ice cream time. I had ice cream just before the show, and I might have ice cream afterwards. My mouth is kind of dry tonight. Sounds like a good idea, Aaron. Thank you. Amy says, Amanda, I was referring to the discussion the other night about salt water. Oh, the other night we had a great conversation in the chat. It was a very fun night. I petered out halfway through it, but I wish I would have kept reading. I read some of it this afternoon or this morning. I read through the chat this morning, and it was hilarious. You guys were on a roll. I love it when y'all go off like that. Amy says, I read that one. Amanda says, LOL, Jake has ice cream before the podcast. Sure did. Cookies and cream. What are you having? I might have vanilla next time around, though. Or I might have cookies and cream. You never know. Might have a little of both. So I like both. Amy says, it was fun. It was fun. It was a great night. Passover all the way to now has been great. Every episode has been a good one this week. I hope they're all like that from now on, because we can't not grow with entertainment like that. And I need to make some cash, so we need to grow. Amanda says, we had a blast Saturday night in chat. It sounded like it. I was reading and we were in the bed reading and just rolling laughing. It was so funny. Aaron says, I love ice cream. I like it too. Sometimes. I'm not big ice cream guy, but I like eating it. I don't know why I'm not more into it. I kind of like soft serve. You ever had that? I'm sure you have. I like soft serve, which is technically not ice cream. I also like sherbet. The green or the orange. I do like and I don't really even know what sherbet is, but I like it. It's kind of icy. It's me says, when is it going to be gospel music only night? Well, I don't play gospel music, so probably never. But if you want to play gospel music, I'll host you. April says, Amy, I almost drowned when I was a kid. Let me tell you, after being underwater a few minutes, I saw everything clear and I was calm, and I remember I could breathe. When did that happen? I have no knowledge of this. Aaron says the fish stored air in its swim bladder. Oh, cool. Interesting. I didn't know they had those. April says, yep, someone knocked it over in a mad way. Your fish? Why would someone knock over your fish in a mad way? Aaron says, when I was 25, I died in a car accident and came back. I woke up 3 days later. Wow. I had some pretty major surgeries when I was a child, and I may have passed on briefly during that encounter, but what I remember of the situation was very vague. I don't remember a lot about it, but I remember watching them do things to me. I do remember that. Maybe it was just an out-of-body experience. Who knows? But I remember watching the doctors. April says, then Mom pulled me up. You were underwater for a few minutes and then Mom pulled you up. And whoa, Aaron. So do you remember anything? Asks April. Do you remember anything about your near-death experience? And April says, it's me. Woohoo, amen. Yeah, if you guys have any information, Amy, if you have a experience, we'd like to hear about it. I don't know if we could make any sense of it, but we'd like to hear about it. April says, hi, Angela. If you're out there watching on the big old TV. Amy says, I died and came back too, April. I remember being in a warm, comfortable, bright light. And then I heard a voice saying it wasn't my time, and then I woke up. Interesting. It's me says, it snowed today. Down to 23 degrees tonight. Brr, really? I thought we were past the snowing. April says, yes, you have a Spotify and Facebook too. Yes, ma'am. Look right up here. I have Twitter. I have YouTube. I have Rumble. And I have Spotify. And I'm also on Amazon and Google and Wimkin and a few other places. Go check it out. Yes, I do. April says, brr, it's me, golly. And Amanda says, it was 78 degrees here today. It's me. And Aaron says, yes, I remember, April. Cool. You want to tell us about it? What did you see? What did you experience? And April says, I was sleeping and dreamed God was telling me, let people know I'm coming. I dreamed that 3 times, and I didn't see God. I just heard his voice, but I can't explain it. But it was deep, and I'll never forget it. I imagine if I dreamed about God, I wouldn't forget it either. Amy says, same here, April. And April says, it rained here too. Squirrel. Patty, what's up, darling? She says, thank you, Jake and Miss Amanda, for what you do, and good night. Well, hey, Patty. Nice to see you, sweetie. And April says, Patty, much love, hearts, stars, and smiley faces. And Amanda says, good night, Patty. And April says, Kahlua barks at the vacuum, LOL. Squirrel. And April says, good night, Bill, Walter, Linda, and everyone. I love you all. Well, good night, April. I love you too. April says, it's true, it's peaceful. That was scared the bejesus out of me. I can tell you that right now, because I want to go to heaven, but I don't want to go today. April says, the heart, kidneys, etc. And your hair and nails will still grow when your body dies. Well, that's not exactly true. Your skin recedes. Your nails and hair stay the same, but your skin draws back, which makes it appear like it's growing. April says, yes, plugged in. It's called orbs. What are we talking about, April? What's plugged in? Oh, you're talking about the spirit being plugged into via Wi-Fi. I don't know about orbs. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or if that's just an anomaly of the atmosphere in which we live, which is gas and does cause that sort of thing to happen. I don't know. But what I do know is I don't think the spirit is in this body. I think it runs this body, but I don't think it's and if it is physically in this body, it's in another dimension, in a dimension we can't perceive. So I don't know exactly how that works. And heaven may not be up there. It may be right here, just in the fourth or fifth dimension. Just like a piece of paper can't perceive us. If you have a character on a two-dimensional drawing on a piece of paper, if that thing is alive, then its whole universe is that piece of paper. It cannot perceive anything outside of that paper. Even if you're right close to it, it can't perceive you unless you touch it. And then it can only perceive the cross-section of what you touched it with. Now, if we live in a three-dimensional space, anything in the fourth dimension can be right in front of you and you not be able to perceive it because it's in another dimension. Same thing with the rest of the dimensions. So heaven might be right in front of us all the time. It might be right all around us. This might actually be in heaven, but we're in a dimension that can't perceive it. Amy says, thanks for answering my question. Well, I hope I did. And April says, no, Jake, November. Well, maybe it was November. I can't remember much anyway. It just seems like it was supposed to be December for some reason. April says, Amanda had to be there by a certain date. Jake, you know that. Well, I know something like that. I'm not arguing it. I just don't remember. And Amanda says, LOL, Jake. Didn't you just say earlier that you need to lay off the sweets and junk food? LOL, goofball. What's that got to do with remembering anything? April says, LOL. Amy says, last night, those two guys pissed me off. Yeah, they did me too. But you have to expect that. You get the most flack when you're over the target. When we're doing something good, that's when the devil attacks. And it's going to happen. We got to be able to be strong enough to withstand that and to have defenses for it, which is why so many of you have a wrench. To make sure that that's under control. Because there are going to be goofballs out there that have no interest in listening and have every interest in disrupting you listening. And we can't allow that. Because above all, the only thing we have in this world is our concentration towards God. And if that is interrupted, that's a detriment to all of us. Amanda says, LOL, April. He don't remember nothing. Debbie says the only ice cream worth eating is Praline's ice cream. Ha, 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 ha. I hear you. How are you, Debbie? Welcome to the show. Good to see you back. Thank you for the letter. It was lovely. And Amanda says, Jake is a cereal man. I do like cereal. This is true. I do like me some cereal. Amanda says, hi, Debbie. And Debbie says, hello, Amanda. And Amanda says, hold on a minute. Your chat's going to jump. All right, here we go. Amanda says, Ann gets mad when I buy him 5 or 6 boxes at a time. LOL. Well, you got plenty of midnight snacks. Yeah, but I don't need 5 boxes of cereal. I can only eat 1 bowl at a time. I ain't trying to be big as a house. Debbie says, hello, Amy. And Amy says, and Wimpkin. I said Wimpkin. I just hadn't figured out how to put it into that rotation yet. But when I do, I'll put it up there. I've already made the graphic. I just hadn't got it in there yet. Amy says, it felt very euphoric. I bet. I bet it's an interesting experience. And It's Me says, astral projection. A few of those in the 70s, LOL. Yeah, I bet. Would you talk to some elves? Some mechanical elves? Yeah, I think that's what I went through sounded like. I did a lot of research because I didn't know what was happening to me. I thought I was freaking out or had schizophrenia or something. So I did a lot of research, and what I found was that there are cultures out there that practice this sort of thing, and they try to make it happen. I was trying to make it stop because it's freaking me out. Felt like I was falling backwards into the ether, and that this electric blanket of sound was enveloping me, and I couldn't move and I couldn't hear. I was just falling away from the world, and it scared the bejesus out of me. And it used to happen every single time I went to sleep. Right about 5 minutes after I dozed off, it would hit while you're still semi-conscious, I had to work really hard to make that stop happening. And it took me about 15 years to make it stop. And it turns out the reason it was happening is because I was laying on my back. And apparently my blood doesn't flow right when I lay on my back. So I lay on my side and it went away. April says, I just remember seeing everything was clear and calm and underwater. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And then I heard Mom's voice saying, where's April? Wow. Scary. I didn't know that happened. April says, she said she saw my fingers sticking up and she pulled me out of the drop-off. Wow. Where was this at? And April said, spirits. And Amy Elizabeth says, one day we'll find out, I guess. Yep, that's true. One day we're all going to know for sure. One way or the other. You see, there are two options. Either there is a God who created all things in his infinite wisdom and he is the authority of all things and he is the master of all things and you are subservient to him. Or there's not. And everything just kind of happened randomly. There's no agency or essence behind anything. Both of those options are possible, and both of those options are terrifying. You just have to pick which one you believe is true and go with it. I personally think the first one, the former, has more evidence backing it up. But that's me. It's Me says, orbs are sent in Wiccan spells. Yuck. Well, there's all kinds of religious things out there that claim all kinds of things that happen in natural phenomenon, and they claim that they're the ones doing it. I don't put any stock into that nonsense. I don't typically want to believe in any religion that started in the 60s anyway. That's like Scientology. I can't have a god named Ron. I just can't do it. You got to have a weird name, and you got to be at least 2,000 years old, and you got to be dead. Amanda says, second bowl of ice cream? Junk food. Ha 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 ha. April says, Wiccan spells. Huh? Wiccan. Wiccan is a practice of what they call white magic. And I don't know a lot about it, but I know they're witches, and I know it's stupid, and it's based on pagan religions from the old days. But it was invented in whole cloth at a university in the 60s by a dude, and he's still alive today as far as I know. He was in the early 2000s anyway. April says, from witches, it's me? Yep. Wiccan. Yep. And not all witches are Wiccans, by the way. That Wiccan is just a religion that came about relatively recently. Most witches are of the devil. And so are they. They just don't know it. Chit-Chat jumped. I'm getting back there. Hang on. And Amy Elizabeth says, we definitely gave it back to them. Those two guys, yeah, definitely. It's Me says, yes, April. And April says, hi, Debbie. Sorry I missed you, hon. How are you? And Amanda says, oh, yeah, Amy. They weren't getting away unscathed, for sure. Amy says, if he eats 5 boxes of cereal, would that make him a serial killer? A serialer, anyway. And Amanda says, LOL, absolutely, Amy. And Debbie says, Grape Nuts is the best cereal. Ah, Frosted Flakes are a close second. And now I need a snack, haha. I can't stand Grape Nuts. They're too hard. It's like eating fishbowl rocks. I don't know how anybody can eat that mess. I guess it tastes all right, but it's like eating gravel. I like Frosted Flakes, though. I am a fan. And I like Raisin Bran. But I like Raisin Bran Crunch better. But I really like Honey Bunches of Oats. That's my favorite cereal. But I also like Captain Crunch, and I like not Rice Krispies, the ones that would Cocoa Pebbles and the other one, Fruity Pebbles. I like Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles. I'm that kind of guy. Very rarely Apple Jacks. I'm not big on the cinnamon cereal, even though I like cinnamon. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. And April says, so orbs are evil? If it's not of God, it's of the devil. And God don't make orbs. Or at least I've never heard that he did. Linda Davis says, I cheated death so many times, but I don't remember anything except my first brain surgery. I fought them so much. When I finally woke, I had bruises across both arms and legs. In the second surgery, I woke. Wow. That's crazy. And Linda says, still on the table. I woke up still on the table. Oof. See, I woke up during my surgery, too. For a while, I could watch them working on me. And then I woke up, and they were packing my mouth full of ice. And then that big mask came over my face, and that's all I remember. I was 6 years old when that happened. Back in the 70s. 1979. I was 5 years old. I turned 6 in 1980. So I think that's how that works. Amanda says, wow, Linda. And Amy says, Debbie, I like strawberry frosted mini wheats. Must be a generational thing. I don't want to eat anything that tastes like hay. But I will eat the little frosted part, bite it off, and throw the rest away. I like that dry. I don't like that with milk. Tell you what I do like, though, Chex. Chex is good, but a bunch of sugar on it. Chex. Debbie says, Amy, those are good, too. Strawberry frosted mini wheats. Amanda says, I like Crave. I don't want chocolate inside my cereal. Angela Ashkin says, I just popped on to say hi. I was watching on my TV when you said hi to me. Amy invited me. Well, you don't have to be invited. You're a member of the family. You got a green name. Come anytime. We love you. Hi. And Amanda says, hi and welcome in, Angela. Come on now. Debbie says, Crave, bleh. Those sound healthy. Haha, right? Don't need no healthy stuff. Want that good cereal. Corn Pops. And Linda says, hi, Angela. And Amanda says, LOL, they aren't. They got a soft chocolate center, and they have Crave s'mores, too. I mean, they're probably good. I don't think I've had them more than once. April says, we were out fishing in Dad's boat, Cherry Pocket Lake. I think we were out a ways, but there was a sandbar, so it was kind of shallow. April says, Linda, wow, God bless you, love. Right on. And April says, Angela, hi, lovely. Amy says, freaking out, looking for my car keys, and they were in my pocket. At least they weren't in your hand. That would really make you feel dumb. I've done that before. Look all over the place for something I'm holding. And April says, LOL. Amy Elizabeth says, driving while listening. Love y'all. Love you too, Amy. Be careful. Don't listen too much. You might get intoxicated. Amanda says, LOL, Amy. That's like looking for your phone with the phone flashlight. Yeah, that's bad. That's when you know you've had too much. And Amanda says, be safe, Amy. And April says, me too, Jake. Cereal. OMG, we eat the same cereals. It's a family thing, I think. I like sweets. I'm a sweet junkie. Linda says, April, I've had 15 surgical procedures so far. I really don't plan on having any more. I've had seven major surgeries in my life, and I don't want no more either. It's me says, granola cereal. Who was that guy that promoted that? I don't know. I've never had granola cereal. That doesn't sound good at all. Debbie says, grape nuts are gravel to you because you do not know how to eat them. Haha, probably. You have to let them sit in the milk and sugar, and they absorb the milk to add extra. So you add extra milk, usually about 15 minutes. Really? I didn't know that. That makes sense, though, because most times cereal gets soggy, and the trick is to eat it before it gets soggy. So you're saying with grape nuts, you got to do the opposite. Wait till it gets soggy. I've never had them that way. But I did buy them one time, and I poured a nice big bowl of them, and I took a bite, and I was like, oh, no, this is not what I was thinking at all. No. And I didn't know to put sugar in them either then. So, yeah. Amy says, I'm online 3 years older than you, Jake. All right. I'm online 3 years older. I'm only 3 years older than you. Okay. I didn't say anything about your age. Uncomfortable silence. Never ask a lady her age. I said I think that's how that works. I'm not sure that's what the year was. If you're talking about when I was 6 in 1980, I think I was 6 in 1980. I'm not sure. That was a long time ago. I haven't really done the math. But I did turn 6 in the hospital. And I think it was 1979, somewhere in that area. April says, whoa, thank goodness, Linda. It was 80? Okay, so I was right. Yep. I turned 6 in the hospital in 1980. Amy Elizabeth says, I read that one. Debbie says, mini wheats have to soak too. Jeez, Jake. Well, I mean, I have eaten mini wheats before, but I just ain't crazy about them. And April says, yuck, I guess Mikey likes checks. Was that the one? I think Mikey likes anything. He'll eat anything. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was corn pops. I don't remember. It might have been those honeycomb cereals. I don't remember. I remember Mikey, but I don't remember which cereal he was promoting. I don't think it was Chex, though. It might have been. Angela says, Rice Krispies with fresh bananas or strawberries in it. Yeah, I don't want fruit in my cereal. I'm eating cereal. I'm trying to stay away from healthy stuff. I want cereal with sugar in it. Lots of it. It's me says, 11 o'clock, time to sleep. Have a good night, y'all. It's me. God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. I'm not far behind you, sir. Amanda says, good night, it's me. And April says, good night, it's me. Love, God bless us all. I love you too. Stars and hearts and prayers and more hearts. And Debbie says, Methuselah is my younger sibling. Right on. Yep, I was there when they invented dirt. Life cereal, that's it, Linda says. Life cereal. Mikey likes Life. It wasn't Chex, it was Life cereal, which is probably Chex with another name. I don't even remember what Life cereal was. Do they still make it? I don't think I've ever seen it in the store. And whatever happened to Count Chocula and Boo Berry? Remember those? Frankenberry. Yeah. April says, was it Life? I think so. I think she's right about that. I know they make like Special K now. Probably the same thing. I don't know. And April says, yeah, Linda, got it. She got it. I miss the old days when there was only 2 kinds of candy bars and 3 kinds of drinks. Now there's so much you can't even decide what you want. And Linda says, yep, they still make all of them. Well, they don't sell them in the stores around here, that's for sure. I'd like to have some Count Chocula. That's good cereal. Frankenberry. There was 4 of them, and I can only remember 3 of them. And 2 of them were berry. Frankenberry and Boo Berry. Count Chocula. What was the other one? Something weird. Oh, those were the good old days. April says, yep, much love. Chex is Walmart's and Sam's Club generic sodas. Right on. Chex is a cereal, too. It's like a little crisscross or lattice shaped like a triangle or a diamond. And it's really good with sugar. It's light and airy, so you can eat a lot of it. April says, duh. April LOLs, I swear. Ah, ha, 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 ha. What was that? What'd you say? I'm having a nose crisis tonight. My nose is itching off my face. Check. That's check, not checks with an X. I used to drink those generic drinks every chance I got because I was trying to save money when I was younger. But then I discovered Mountain Dew and I never looked back. No more Mountain Lion for me. That stuff is nasty. That's worse than Mellow Yellow. Linda Davis says, they make us cinnamon checks now. That's one of my faves. All right. That's probably good. I just like the plain ones because you can put sugar on it and it kind of tastes like Frosted Flakes. Debbie says, yummy, yummy. Yummy Mummy was the 4th one. Good. Yummy Mummy. It must not have been very yummy because I don't remember it. And I don't remember anybody talking about it. And April says, yeah, Yummy Mummy. I miss when they invented new stuff and there was always something new on the market. It's been the same old junk forever. And it's just more of it. Like, instead of inventing a new candy bar, they just invent the same candy bar and put something with it. You know, like instead of Twix, now it's Twix with caramel, or it's got caramel already. Twix with peanut butter, you know, Twix with chocolate chips. or whatever the hell they do. Why do they do that? Just make something new. I don't understand stagnation. There's so many brilliant people in the world, and we're making the same garbage that we've been making for the last 40 years. Kids have nothing to look forward to. When I was a kid, you never knew what was going to come out next. I remember the Transformers toys were made out of metal. Do you remember that? You go try to buy one now, they're all plastic, and they're not even good plastic. Mine, when I was a kid, would actually transform into a real car, and it looked like a car. And then you could turn it into a robot, and it looked like a robot. Now it just looks like a amorphous piece of plastic that you can fold in half and maybe put some tires down. It's stupid. What happened to toys? When I was a kid, all the toys were cast aluminum or cast something, galvanized, cast something or other. Now they're all plastic. They had real details, you know. Guns looked like guns, and they had little cars that looked real, and now they just all look like garbage. They all look like they came from the dollar store now. What happened to toys? What happened to the world? April says, look what you started, Amanda. LOL. Ha ha ha. Cool. I love cinnamon too, Linda. And Amanda says, I didn't. Aaron did. LOL. And Linda says, April, they even have a cinnamon frosted flakes. Yeah, I bet that's good. I like frosted flakes. That's a good cereal. How many people add sugar to their frosted flakes? It ain't got enough. More. Debbie says, I remember playing the records you cut out of the box. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You could cut it out like a cereal box thing. Yeah. There's a few. You could cut out little foldy deals and make little models out of it. That was a thing you could do. Or cut out little clothing and put on paper dolls. I remember those. It seemed like everything had an imaginative quality to it when we were kids. Now it all just looks like repackaged nonsense. All the cartoons look stupid too. Remember when we were kids, we had the silly cartoons, but then we had Hanna-Barbera, you know. Then we had Looney Tunes with Bugs Bunny and the Coyote and Roadrunner and all that. They were great. Tom and Jerry, most violent cartoon in existence. It's fantastic. Then you had things like G.I. Joe and Gargoyles and things like that, like realistic cartoons. All the cartoons now look like something that came off of Cartoon Network. Some nonsense. Some silly, weird, gay nonsense. I really envy children, or I really feel sad for children today because they don't have that imaginative, magical quality that we grew up under. They don't have that. You look at anything that's marketed towards kids, it's nonsense. Teletubbies or whatever that weird thing is with the pointed ears. It's like a coat with legs. His name is Jake, too, oddly enough. A floppy dog. SpongeBob. The hell is wrong with people? I'd have never watched anything like that when I was a kid. That wouldn't have caught my mind at all. I need the Smurfs and Tom and Jerry. They pulled the Smurfs off the air. Do you know why? Do you know why the Smurfs didn't last? Because there was 100 Smurfs and one Smurfette. And nobody wanted to answer that question. And there was a baby Smurf. That's why they pulled it off the air. Amanda says, April is a frosted flake. Fact. Fact check true. Linda says, remember when they had toys in the box and you had to fight your siblings to get the first one? Get it first? Yes. Yes, I remember when there was a prize in the box. And the decoder rings and the little clues on the back of the box that you could follow and do your sleuthing. It's fantastic. They don't do that anymore either, I don't think. At least I don't hear anybody talking about it. If there is a toy in the box, I hadn't seen it. April says, ha ha ha, Amanda, but a sincere Frosted Flake, LOL. A genuine airhead, LOL. Amen, sister. And Amanda says, love you, April. And April says, yes, they don't have them anymore, and they put the same sticker in the Cracker Jack box, LOL. Yeah, you used to get cool stuff in the Cracker Jack box, too. Now it's just a lick tattoo or something. April says, I love the Smurfs and Tom and Jerry. Looney Tunes, My favorite cartoon, bar none, has always been Roadrunner and Coyote. I've always loved that, but I was really into Tom and Jerry. I really loved that show when I was a kid. So, Tom and Jerry and Roadrunner and Star Trek. That's what I watched. And I miss all three of those things. Amanda says, what about the gum with the tattoos? That's called Joe. Something Joe. Bazooka Joe. That's it. I remember those little square gums with the joke on the inside, and sometimes it would have like a tattoo inside of it or something. I used to love Bazooka Joe jokes. They're funny. It's like the Far Side. Remember when you could get jokes in the newspaper, in the comic section? And they had a one called the Far Side. And I would encourage all of you to look up Far Side comics. They're wonderful and brilliant. Most of you probably remember that. But there's a lot of young people that come in and out here, so I'm saying it for their benefit. Most of you guys probably know what I'm talking about. But back in the day, you used to get information from a piece of paper that you could buy for 25 cents. And inside that piece of paper, there was a couple of things. There was a sports section, which all the dudes wanted. But there was the classifieds, where people would sell their bodies and other things. And then there was the comic section. And on Sunday, there would be a big page of comics. And it was new every Sunday. So, man, that was my favorite thing to do, is get them comics and read them. I liked Phantom, and I liked the Far Side, and I liked Oz. Or Family Circle was another one I liked. I like witty things. April says, yeah, Bazooka Joe. Amanda says, it's Bazooka. Right on. April says, I love you too, Amanda. And April says, Hubba Bubba Green Apple is my favorite. Hubba Bubba. Bubbalicious. Close Up. Does anybody remember Close Up gum? It was a piece of gum that had a squirt in the inside of it. Of what? I don't know. But it was delicious. And you eat the whole package just to get a mouthful of that squirt. Squirty gum. Close Up. And it was cinnamony. Burn your lips. But that squirty stuff was delicious. And then Dr. Pepper bought them and sold it as Dr. Pepper gum, and it was the same gum. They just added copper to it. April says, candy cigarettes. Yuck. I pretended like I was smoking. LOL. I just did the real thing. But yeah, I remember when they sold candy cigarettes and you could eat them and blow the little powder out of your mouth. I remember that. April says, yep, comics were great. Yes, they were. And I miss those days. Amanda says, I like Gushers. That's what I'm talking about. And April says, yep, Family Circle. It's a good cartoon. And also Marmaduke. Anybody remember Marmaduke? Come on now. Where's my Marmaduke folks at? Scooby-Doo was based on Marmaduke. Did you know that? It's the same dog. Anyway. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are you? Time to have some fun now. You know that they changed that? They still have Scooby-Doo, but it don't have the Scooby-Doo song anymore. Did you know that? It ran out of copyright, so they couldn't use it anymore. Went back to the public space, whatever you call it. It's in public domain. That's what it's called. So they can't use it anymore. And next year, Mickey Mouse is going to be public domain. Not the Mickey Mouse that you know about, but the Mickey Mouse that appeared with Popeye back in the day. You know, that guy. Yep. Angela says, I loved Marmaduke. Yes, ma'am. Amanda says, what was that? What was the string bubble gum? It was in a foil pouch like tobacco. Red Man, I think. Yeah, it was Big League gum. And it was in strings like tobacco, so you could pretend you were chewing tobacco. That was great gum, and I don't think they make that anymore either. Big League gum. April says, OMG, yes. The middle was cinnamon, and they had minty ones too, and they came out with watermelon to them big reds. I don't think I ever had the watermelon one, but that would have been good. I like watermelon. I like the artificial watermelon flavor, is what I'm saying. April says, yes. And Linda says, I nicknamed my dog that because she looked like him. Right on. Amanda says, yes, Big Link. What, Scooby-Doo or Marmaduke? Marmaduke was a female. Amanda says, yes, Angela. And April says, Steamboat Willie was his name. But it's the precursor for Mickey Mouse. Anyway, it's going to be public domain, and anybody can use Mickey Mouse. April says, yep, it was. I like old Fleischer cartoons, pre-war cartoons. If you go back and watch, if you can find them, they're hard to find because they've most have been banned because they're problematic. But in those days before the war, pre-war cartoons, they were in 3D and they were very detailed and very well-made, handcrafted cartoons, and they look way better than anything that came after it. You look at any Scooby-Doo, any of the modern cartoons that we call modern, Bugs Bunny and all that, nothing in comparison to pre-war cartoons. But they were in black and white because they didn't have color back then. But they were very well drawn and voiced by actors and so forth. And that's the era that Betty Boop came out of, and the Two Crows and the Sambo and all those things that they don't show on TV anymore because it's problematic and offensive. But I miss those days. Fleischer cartoons. Check them out. Amanda says, dinosaurs. Not the mama. Dinosaurs. You know Whoopi Goldberg was on that show? That ought to tell you all you need to know. April says, juicy fruit was great for a minute, and then you had to spit it out, right? Yeah, it only lasted a minute, but it was wonderful, juicy fruit. You eat the whole damn package of it just to get gum. Angela says, my grandson watches those cartoons somewhere online, and he is almost 10, and he loves them. Those old ones, oh, yeah. They're way better than anything on TV today. They were original. They were unique. I've got one of them in my feed somewhere on my shorts. The Wanna Be a Member one with Betty Boop. Just go look at that thing and how it was drawn. It's amazing. They don't do anything like that anymore. The war took it out of us. I can tell you that. World War II or World War I, whatever happened in the 40s. I guess it was 2. It really costed a lot of money, and it made a lot of things go bankrupt and a lot of things lose the quality that it was made with. Anything that was made back then was made to last forever. It was made out of good, sturdy materials and such. And the cartoons were no exception. They were great cartoons. They were very imaginative. They worked hard on them, and they just don't make things like that anymore. So it's worth going back and appreciating those things if you get the chance to. Because they'll never happen again. What was the striped gum fruity? Oh, it was called Stripe. Striped gum. That was the name of it. And it was like a rainbow-colored zebras kind of thing. And it was all right. It had a funky taste. It'd leave an aftertaste in your mouth, so I didn't care for it, but I like that. I can't think of the name of it, but it's like in a pale blue, and it's made like tar gum, is that kind of thing. It might be beech nut or black nut or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but I like that gum. And it's hard to find. It's not everywhere. But it's like the oldest gum, you know. It's been around the longest. I wish I could remember what it's called. I see it every now and then, like at a gas station or something, but I can't remember what it's called. But it wasn't regular gum. It was like tar gum. Like in the old days, they would get a chunk of asphalt and chew on it. You know, the rubbery asphalt. And that's where the idea for gum came from. Wish I could remember what that stuff's called. For some reason, I want to say black nut or beech nut, but I don't think that was it. Something like that, though. Angela says, yep, them old cartoons, they are all black and white and funny. Yes. Well, they were black and white because they didn't have color technology in those days. If they would have had color technology, they'd have been the most advanced thing on TV. That's the only thing that really hurt them is their replay quality and the aspect ratio and that sort of thing. And the sound. They didn't have the sound really to support that kind of creation because, you know, speakers were quite simple in those days and playback was almost generic. It was whatever the device came with. Nobody had home surround sounds and things like that. Nowadays, they would put a real sound, a score behind it. They would do real sound effects and all that good stuff. Back then, they just made most of the sound effects with their mouth. But other than that, they were great cartoons. Very imaginative. And they touched some weird subjects, too. Go back and watch them things. They'll make you think about some stuff. April says, Betty Boop and Casper the Ghost 2. Casper the Ghost is considerably newer than Betty Boop. Betty Boop came out before the war. She was a flapper, so she'd be from the 20s. So it was probably the 30s when they made her. And Linda says, was that gum with the zebra on the pack? Yeah. The stripe candy, or stripe gum. Yeah, it had a zebra on the back. And Amanda says, that's the one I'm talking about too, Linda. Fruit stripes or something. It was called stripe, or fruit stripe. It might have been fruit stripe, but it was definitely stripe was on in the name. Fruity stripes. There you go. That's it. April says, remember the zebra stripes? I can't remember what it's called. That's what we're talking about. Fruity stripes. Beech nut, says Angela. That may be what it's called. It may be beech nut. I can't remember exactly, but that sounds right. So, yeah, I like that gum. Melinda Davis says, beech nut. Right on. And Amanda says, now I want peppermints. Ugh. You're a peppermint junkie. April says, oh, duh. LOL. Angela says, the zebra gum was called Fruity Stripes. And April says, winter fresh, winter green. I like winter green. Or Wrigley Spearmint is my favorite, spearmint. April says, winter fresh. I don't recall winter fresh. I recall winter green. And Debbie says, light blue package was Blackjack. That's it, Blackjack. That's the one. If you ever get that, that's good gum. It's not very flavorful, but it stays for a while. It's a unique flavor. It's different than the other gums. Blackjack. Thank you, Debbie. You're on ball tonight, Deb. Thanks. April says, it was in shape. Right on. And Amanda says, spearmint. And I like spearmint. April says, of a square. It was in the shape of a square. What, Winter Fresh? I don't think I've ever had it. Andrew says, were you thinking about spruce gum? Yeah, the original gum. And I think that the blackjack was based on that. And Linda says, beech nut had blackjack and tea berry and others. There you go. Chicory gum. Right on, Amy Elizabeth. That's definitely a different flavor if you're a gum enthusiast. It's definitely unusual. And that's why I liked it, because it didn't taste like every other gum. You know, every other gum has that kind of waxy, bubbly kind of, bubblicious kind of taste to it, or the Wrigley spearmint kind of taste. It all kind of tasted the same. But that blackjack or beech nut or whatever it was tasted different, but it was still good. I liked it. It's probably why I smoke, because it kind of reminds me of that Nicorette gum. It has that kind of flavor to it. And Amanda says, peppermint is delicious. It's good for you, too. April says, peppermints are good to have around. Definitely. Angela says, it's nasty. What's nasty? The blackjack gum? Oh, I love it. I eat it up. All right, I'm at the bottom of the chat, and it's 11:30, so I got to go to bed. I do have to get up and go to work early in the morning. I'm not making any money sitting here, so I got to go to sleep. Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed the night, and I enjoyed the conversation immensely. I love it when we go down rabbit holes. It means everything. It gives me something to get excited about every time we come, so I appreciate that. Oh, spruce gum is nasty. Yeah, it probably is. April says, or Amanda says, LOL, I buy peppermints by the 3-pound bag, and she sits there and eats the 3-pound bag. It's disgusting, really. No, it was like Wrigley, says April. Okay, I got you. Linda says Chuckles gum, square shaped. Okay, Chuckles. I've never had that before. All right, I do have to go to bed. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. God bless each and every one of you. May God's blessings abound in your life, and may his grace light your life every which way you decide to go. May it take your footsteps there. And while you're out there going, be nice to somebody. I promise you, it will make your life better. It will cause dividends into your future. Trust me. Write it down that I said so. Anyway, I'll see you guys Wednesday. I'm going to take a day off tomorrow. I've been going for 6 days. It's time for a break. I'll see you guys Wednesday. Have a good night. God bless you. I love you, True. Amanda says, it took Ma like 2 weeks to eat a bag. It took me like 2 weeks to eat a bag. No. Chiclets. Yeah, I know what chiclets are. Those are good gums, too. They come in a box, 4 of them in the box. Yeah, those were good. April says, much love, everybody. And Amanda says, Linda, and use them as front teeth. And Linda says, good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. I love you, True. God bless you. May you have sweet dreams, and I'll see you Wednesday. Thanks for watching.